39 June. So dinner at your place tomorrow is confirmed. I asked William as I made the bed. I spent the afternoon cleaning my room too. Super eventful. I hope it seems a purpose after the fight with my mom. But I wasn't too sure about it. I'll let you know later. Are you free tonight? For what? I asked with a smile creeping on my lips. To see you even if it's just for another hour. Yesterday we were around too many people. Okay, let me know. I can't stop smiling, thinking about the kiss we shared at Tropical. Mom, I call in search of the ferocious beast. Mom, I call in search of the ferocious beast. She immediately recognized my loud puppy voice. Don't even think about it. You're not going out tonight. There she is, April, the mind reader, unloading the dishwasher. All right. Don't think just because you organized that war zone you call a room that you're off the hook. It was just a bit messy. Not as much as she would let me. Not as not as much as she would like to think. Okay, I repeated. She waved the dishwasher and cups around. She stopped to look at me from head to toe. Okay, what? She asked, confused. Fine, fine. I'll help Jasper away with his hunger. My mom's eyes went wide. I smirked at her with a satisfied look that seemed to say, "You didn't see that one coming, didn't you, amateur?" And and, and may I ask why you're agreeing to do it jointly? She asked, swiftly grabbing her phone. She was certainly agreeing with Mr. Curator about paintings and embarrassing dinners. Except your tutorial deal, I'll go out, right? She looked at me suspiciously and didn't soften up. So, Mom, yes, but I decided when, yes, but I decided when and with whom. Go get dressed. Why? At Jordan's at 5. Agreeable. Agreeable. Since we moved to California, I was starting to develop an instinct for trouble, and I was sure this was going to be a one-way street. Hi, Jordan. The man greeted me at the door with a wet tank top that displayed two strong, muscular arms. Sorry, June. I was working out. He said, wiping his face. Oh, no need to apologize. I bit my tongue as soon as I realized I'd said too much, but he didn't notice and turned to his son. Jasper, June's here. Put one foot in the door, all my mental arm going off in my head. Jasper looked at me furtively from the kitchen table. His tiny figure was wrapped in an oversized light blue hoodie. Well, where do you want to start? Radio silence. We were off to a good start. We had 2 hours of torture ahead of us. Where you ended up with your work. I tried to be accommodating, but patient wasn't my forte. He did nothing but stare at me. Is there a subject that you're not doing as well in? I ended up looking around. The kitchen was bigger than our entire house, but it had no warmth to it. I felt startled and hostile. Shall we start with the text analysis? Jasper lifted his hood and threw the book on the table. There's not the nice way to tell me to be quiet, is it? He giggled, hiding behind a hand and point. He giggled, hiding behind a hand, and at that point I sensed that we could manage somehow. I talked for a few hours straight, and when I saw him, John, I suggested we take a break. His eyes were quickly glued to his phone, so I used that time to call with him. whom I hadn't hear whom I hadn't heard from. Maybe I should follow Amelia's advice and let him come to me. But I wanted to know what we were going to do. Was I really going to meet his parents? This wasn't a trivial matter. I just wanted to know what time to be there. After countless attempts, we didn't find an answer. Hey, well, everything okay? I'm a Jasper. What time should I come over tonight? June, do you mind if I call you back? I can't talk right now. A strange, uneasy grip the pit. A strange uneasiness gripped the pit of my stomach. All right, we say goodbye after a few startled sentences in only in the eye. Then sentence only, and then did I realize Jasper was watching me attentively. What's so interesting? Holding a pencil between his fingers. He drew a heart with my name in Wells on top. Try to laugh. Looks like a peach. You're a terrible drawer. Come on, let's start math. I pretended to be mad to make him laugh, but he didn't take the joke, like I hoped he would. Maybe he didn't understand sarcasm. He almost threw the notebook at my head. He stiffened his arm and looked like he was about to throw it frightening me. But then he didn't. Even though his face didn't show anything, it was the first time I saw him express something even remotely close to an emotion. Should I have apologized? Maybe we should have been more tactful, or maybe Jordan should have prepared me for a situation that I was unfamiliar with. Hey, you want me to help you with your math homework? Don't you? He nodded. Don't you? He nodded. He was staring. Don't you? Don't you? He nodded. He was starting to communicate more. That was something. Jordan came. Jordan came in the kitchen. Jordan came in the kitchen, leaving a trail of cologne behind him. His undershirt was red, and his blonde hair stuck to his forehead. How's it going, June? Everything okay? Yeah, I replied. I looked at Jasper, who didn't seem remotely disturbed by the fact that he just flown into a rage a few seconds ago. How's Jasper? Jasper's very quiet. But don't say that. Perceptive, I concluded, looking at Jordan. Good. I was sure you work well together, he commented, leaning down to his son. He seemed to want to kiss him on the forehead, but ended up pulling back and limiting himself to a firm pat on the shoulder. I'm gonna take a shower. I'm gonna take a shower. You and the fridge is full if you want a snack. Make yourself at home. Thank you so much. Then left the kitchen and I turned to Jasper. Yeah, of course. I'll make myself at home. I read my idea. That's all fine and good until Mr. Nice Guy comes back to mark his territory like a self-respecting caveman. I'm already imagining it. Women leave, this house is mine. I smile at the rough voice I used to imitate James. Jasper stretched his lips into a straight line. Speaking of which, where's a thug of a brother of yours? He shrugged. And I thought about Jordan's pet again. And that loves you, but you don't have many pictures in the house, do you? Jasper bit his, Jasper bit his lip. He got up and went into the living room with his back straight. I followed him. He stretched an arm pointing the old piece of furniture that towered over the living room. It was made of glass, window displays, and compartments full of crystal glasses. He pointed it out. There was a hidden photo behind the decorated objects. Can I see it? When he nodded, I reached out. Can I see it? When he nodded, I reached up and grabbed the frame. It was a family photo taken at a different time but in the same place, right in this living room. It seems like a memento of a summer together, judging by the clothes and their tanned faces. I recognized Jordan a little scrawnier compared to now, standing next to a very young and undeniable beautiful woman. She had long white hair and a tiny nose, sprinkled with freckles. She had a newborn in her arms. There was another couple besides them, and a little boy and a little girl with dark hair and striking eyes. The kids both sat cross-legged. The kids said the kids both sat cross-legged on the floor, and even though the picture was a little faded, they looked familiar, very familiar. Weird. I think I know them. I whispered. They look like Amelia and Brian. I was shocked. Jasper didn't answer, but the more I looked at them, the more I was convinced of it. Was it them? Jasper put his finger on a specific place in the photo, directing my attention. In the corner, there was another little boy with a bandana tied around his head, holding a sword with a funny, angry expression. I couldn't hold back my amusement. Did Rambo know it was a family photo, or was he dressed up to go trick or treating? Jasper hinted at what had to be a snicker as I kept laughing until we heard footsteps approaching. Jasper's expression didn't change. He just tensed his shoulder. What the hell are you doing here? I had the picture behind my back and looked James right in the eye. His jaw was clenched. I tried to return his glare with an equally cutting one. I'm tutoring Jasper. He didn't ask me to, I replied. When my breath got lodged in my throat when James made a move. At that point, him a, I, I gave him a once over, messy hair, dark tracksuit pants, and his sports t-shirt. Forget it, Wade. Look, I'm doing it for my mom, okay? I don't even want to be here, but the way I said it was uncomfortable. Jasper bowed his head. Didn't mean to upset him, so I parted my lips to backtrack. But James attacked me before I could talk. What the hell is so funny? I showed him the photo. You were so cute. Shut up, he snapped, ripping it out of my hands. Jasper and I gave each other there a conspiratorial look. Jordan came downstairs, interrupting the scene. He changed into a nice shirt. He looked like he was about to leave. Why don't you Why don't you two go back to studying? Suggested James. He jerked his head toward the kitchen, so I followed Jasper without talking. I didn't take a rocket. I didn't take a rocket scientist to sense the tension that had made. It didn't take a rocket scientist to sense the tension that had just risen between James and his dad. I helped Jasper with his math homework. He didn't open his mouth. But he always got the right answer. Our silence was interrupted by James and Jordan, who started fighting furiously. I don't know what to do. I looked at Jasper, who was looking at the door, so I ran over to close it. He put his hand over his ears, and I felt a stabbing pain in my chest when I realized he was shutting his eyes as hard as he could. I, I didn't like to see him tense with his hand ball into a fist, and his shoulder get close together. He was suffering. I went to the kitchen counter to, to pour him a glass of water. Here, drink this. He stayed in his little world for a few moments until he decided to open his eyes again and take a sip. Better? Yeah. Okay, now but I froze a moment later. Did just say something? We were around when I saw Jordan then join us in the kitchen. Sorry, June. I was sure my son wouldn't be here today. He just came by for a change of clothes. He won't bother you. Another, sure. I'm going to take care of something while you're here with Jasper. I'll be back in an hour, he added. No problem. I'll be happy to stay with Jasper, I reassured him. Jordan said goodbye, and as soon as I hear As I heard the front door close, James came into the kitchen for a glass of milk, as if what had just happened was just like any other day. I stayed in the chair, frozen and unsure of what to do. His cologne was everywhere, and the vibe in the room seemed hostile. This with D room, this is the E. The vibe in the room seemed hostile. Seemed hostile. Jordan left, announced James, unwrapping a lollipop. What do you want? Asked Kuro when I noticed him leering at me immediately. What the fuck do you want, right? Shh. Do you not know any other words? I exclaimed, motioning towards Jasper. And then please get the hell out. I couldn't concentrate anymore. I felt his presence all around me, even when I wasn't looking at or talking to him. Suddenly, I lifted my head and met his gaze. How am I bothering you? Just keep helping him with his homework. Go on, he challenged as he leaned against the kitchen counter, scrolling on his phone. I watched him snicker, intent on sucking on the little red ball between his lips. We're almost done. Can we go on the couch? I asked, feigning a bare minimum of manners that he didn't deserve. Jim shrugged nonchalantly and went back to looking at his phone. That's when I left the kitchen and went into the living room. Do you like living with your dad and your brother? I asked, remembering the redhead in the photo. That's when I nodded decisively. Turned on the TV, I went back to staring at the floor. I didn't have cry, but my curiosity got the best of me. Or maybe it was better there before. I still didn't answer, but he tensed. It was clear that the subject hurt him. But why show me the picture? He must have others. He must have others. Why did he choose the particular one with other people, and why Brian in the media? Maybe he wanted to make fun of his brother, and I was overthinking it. And then flipping through channels, just what chose Rick and Morty. Isn't that for adults? I try not to be too overbearing, but I was my mother's daughter. They let him watch what he wants, James ordered, glaring at me before sprawling next to me on the couch. So he asked, seeing that I was clearly irritated. A strong sense of cherry tickled the lip. A strong scent of cherry tickled the tickled the tip of my nose. Moreover, I muttered nervously, "It's my couch. If you wanted to make yourself, it's my couch. If you wanted to make myself comfortable, I will. You're, I'm, I'm." He pressed the he pressed, stretching out his legs more. I wanted to eviscerate him, but I controlled myself for Jasper's sake. Okay, so yourself, see, when you do what I tell you, we understand each other, right? He laughed, fully aware of the limits imposed on me in his house next to a kid. Then even waste my energy glaring at him because otherwise I'd be distracted by the sight of his full red lips. It was hard to admit it, but his presence turned me on. I better get home. I hesitated, but Yester, with his own sense of timing, handed me a constant right then. Okay, one game and I go. Tomorrow we'll work on English. You're not doing shit tomorrow. Don't come back here, interjected James. Will you stop cursing in front of your brother? You're insufferable. I'm insufferable? You're the pain in the ass who comes to my house to tell me what to do. Took a deep breath, even though it would take 1,000 of those to calm myself with a guy like that. Sure, Hunter, because you think I'm exhausted by our behavior. Jasper covered his ears and got up to hide in his room. Dumbass. Moron. What did Jasper we let Jasper go, and from what that I could tell, he couldn't stand fighting and listening to people yell at each other. Your brother is so sweet. When I turned around, he was staring at me. What are you still here, Wade? What do you, what do you always have to? I asked you a question. Can you answer me? I noticed the heat of his skin where he put his arm on the back of the couch. Again with mocking. I should have gone to Williams, but he has texted or even called me back. There was no reason to get into the details. James didn't give a damn. You're stubborn, eh? I told you to drop it. But you just can't let things go. I ignored him. Why do you always sleep at Willis? Mind your fucking business. You're a fucking broken record. I'm saying bye to Jasper and leaving. Yes, up, I got up, went upstairs, and stepped in front of what appeared to be Jasper's room. And I knocked, but there was no sound there. The door was left ajar. I could make it out a figure sitting at the computer. What subject do you want to work on tomorrow? I asked. He turn to didn't turn he didn't turn to around to look at me. There, there alone and answer me. Okay, I'm heading now. I added it without moving a step further. Jasper, he didn't turn around when I called his name, but I kept going anyway. Didn't mean to say yeah away when I said my mom made me come and that I didn't want to be here. He put on his headphones, leaving me no way to explain. No way to explain. He totally cut me out and it threw me off center. I don't I done a lot to bother him that day. I could try another time. Got it. See you tomorrow. Maybe I kind of deserve that. I shouldn't then be so cavalier about those kind of things, or fought with James in front of him. I definitely didn't want to hurt or offend Jasper, but I wasn't known for my sensitivity. My sensitivity. James seems like the total opposite of me. I went back down the hall. It wasn't hard. I should have walked down the stairs and left. Or, where the fuck do you think you're going? James leaned on the door jamb with his arm crossed. You're afraid I'll go in your room, Hunter? Try me. Down the hallway, I noticed two semi-open boxes in a series of frames without pictures on the wall. Like Sherlock Holmes, but in that case, it didn't take him telling me it was elementary to understand that something strange was going on. Do you guys just move here? No. What happened to your mom? Jack's eyes became two narrow studs. Do you really want to hear me tell you to mind your own fucking business? Or will you actually it of your own free will for fucking once? He was so close that his cherry aroma flooded my mouth. That's why it didn't seem like you're related related at all. I commented, pointing at Jasper's room. What do you mean, Snow White? Jasper is so sensitive. Jane was clearly irritated by how I was acting, and he had no intention of hiding it. If it wasn't for my dad, you wouldn't even be here in my house. We were too close, so I took a step back so I could breathe. Look, look, for the sake of peace, let's not be too hard on each other. Why? Because we had to do an assignment together. James frowned. What the fuck are you talking about, White? The vice principal signed it when you didn't show up at his office. I saw him put a hand on his I saw him put a hand on his temple to push back a rebellious lock of hair. I can't believe this. Well, I'll take care of it under the condition that his he raised his eyebrow, is a sign that I had his undivided attention. You stop harassing me you stop harassing me at school. His neck tensed. James sneered, as if my suggestion wouldn't be enough. Since when do you think you're smarter than me? Let's try to see things from a favorable point of view for me. He was just a spoiled idiot who was looking to get slapped. I was mature enough to not do that to him, even if he deserved every slap, every single one. I think you have to accept my proposal if you don't want a bad grade. The umpteenth proudly. I challenged him, my head held high. Are you a black matter? Are you a black matter? Wait, you're a black matter. Wait, works a lot when my mom does it. Who knows if it works on me heads like you. Houston reminded me by putting both of his fists on the wall behind me. Okay, princess, I accept the truth. I accept the truth. Okay, princess, I accept the truth. But you have to stay away from me too. Can you do that? What do you mean? Don't ever come back to my house and maybe I'll mind my fucking business in that William that who's into you. And about how and about how you like that. Well, the hell are you talking about? I hiss. Do you think I was born yesterday? Look, I don't care about Brian. I just want things between me and will work out. You have no idea how in over your head your you have no idea how in over your head you're white. No idea. You're talking about your best friend. I know that you care about him, so what will you say then? If I say something like that, I believe it. If you say something like that, believe it, he barked seriously. I felt trapped. I was short of breath, but I certainly wouldn't show him. Are you just scared that I find out what you're holding, Hunter? You do everything to have a clear conscience, right? James lifted it. James lifted a corner of his mouth. I just wanted to protect Will, but you're at my house, and I make you regret ever coming. My mom made me, you moron. I never come here of my own free will. Oh no? I rolled his stomach without thinking about it. That required that required an amount of strength that he didn't even notice. But he made him back away enough for me to wriggle out. Of a corner of my eye, I saw him feel his stomach, but I didn't care. I proceeded down the hallway. Suddenly, I stopped myself. What do you want from me, James? What do you want from me, James? I said with my back turned toward him. I sensed it. He wanted something. It wasn't there being enough for him to ignore me. But he never did, ever. I want you to get out now. He denial, his denial made my blood boil. It bore it bore a little hole in my chest. Get out here, pretty Ruffy. There wasn't any other way to enter his world. Maybe because his wall was so high that it was impossible to climb over. And I didn't have the strength to do it. 40. 40. June. I spent around a half an hour staring at the ceiling in my room. William wasn't innocent. He had continuous mood swings in as much as that could just be who he was. It was highly probable that I was screwing up somehow. Was I? It was probably but from Will's end he didn't seem motivated to explain. He has disappeared. Again. He wasn't at school, so after trying to text him a pathetic "How are you?" I started trying to reach out. There was a major possibility that he didn't like me that much. So get my hopes why get my hopes up? And the less he reached out, the less I thought about him. My gut said not to throw in the towel because there was something behind all the radio silence. But what was it? But what was it? Honey, heat up the pasta from yesterday. I'm going out to eat. There, there she was, hardest April, who magically bounced on me with terms of endearment. With whom? I looked at the door when I saw my mom looking nicer than usual in a black pencil skirt and, and a blouse. Melissa, a former colleague. Sure, Melissa. Melissa is a 40-something guy who was father of the year. Mom speaking, I'm going now. How you and Jordan see each other again? She blinked her eyes curl with mascara. No, no, absolutely not. Why? You tell me if there was something between you two, right? She just adjusted her messy jignon in her eyes lit up when she heard his name. June, it's just work, I told you. She answered curtly, fiddling with the clasp of her bracelet. I'm, I'm not saying this out of selfishness. If you want to date someone, then you're more than welcome to anyone except on Jordan Hart, anyone except on Jordan Hunter. It's just a professional relationship. Why you worry about June? I want her come sit next to me. I know you haven't dated anyone since. I bet you did with the cuff on on my sweatshirt. June. Of course. Of course. We didn't talk about that. I meant after that. Men just ruin your life. That didn't ruin yours. I pressed my lips. I felt hurt by that um, unfortunate comment. June, I didn't mean that. It's just that I wouldn't be in the right headspace to get into a serious relationship right now. Anyway, how do you know when someone wants something serious? She stared at me attentively. I'm asking for a friend. I'm said I said sarcastically as I sank into my shoulders, embarrassed by the fact that I was really asking for relationship advice from the woman who gave birth to me. From the woman who gave birth to me. Well, it's more complicated for adults, but in your case, you didn't need a boyfriend. You don't need anyone. You have your whole life to waste time chasing after one. Just enjoying being this age without forcing things. My mom never gave me a single piece of useful advice. But not, but now that things were so confusing with William, I was even ready to listen to her perspective. Was I really that desperate? People fall in love a million times at your age. They suffer. They spend sleepless nights waiting for the next w- sleepless nights waiting for a text or phone call, until you find out in absolute truth what you felt wasn't love. It was not worth. It was not worth throwing yourself into a million new experience. They'll only waste your time and cause yourself and cause you yourself esteem. You're telling me to not live my life. You don't know that, right? Mom and mom. Here I felt guilty for being the more selfish one. Now I'm just telling you not to divide head first into something when there aren't any strong feelings involved. If you fall in love, well, it's different in that case. But how do you know when you fall? When you fall? Well, yeah, I was asking for a friend, obviously. You wouldn't be asking me that if you were in love, and that's that. She finished before leaving the room in sky-high pumps that I'd never seen her wear. Her wear. Does she really go shopping without me? Well, most of all, did I have to end it with William? This situation was going The situation wasn't going anywhere. Remember your torture. Remember your tutoring Jasper. Remember your tutoring Jasper at 6:30. I heard her yell from the kitchen. Great, even more trouble just around the corner. I rode at the leisure pace that afternoon next to the pretty little houses and gardens, illuminated by the golden sunset. Illuminated by the golden sunset. James has warned me not to come to his house again. But did I care? Of course not. I asked him for one simple thing. Do not screw with me at school. If he didn't have any intention of treating me with even a little respect, I didn't see why I had to put up with his choices. Jasper waved to me from the front door as I leaned my bike against the wall and looked cautiously behind him. He led me into the kitchen, all proud of himself, and showed me his math notebook. Hey, are you alone? Did you already do your homework? I looked at him expectantly, hoping he answered that he did it yesterday. He didn't say anything. Oh, let me see, I said. I didn't remember middle school math being so easy. A few years ago, it seems like a jumble of numbers and formulas. But now everything was much clearer. Everything's great, Jasper. Bravo. He made a slight grimace. It was his way of smiling. I was starting to get to know him now. Jasper pulled the hoodie on his Jasper put the hood on his hoodie up and motioned for me to follow him to the living room. Because I'm only here to play video games with you, I commented sarcastically. Jasper handed me the controller, looking serious. We had to study. Just study for half an hour and then we play video games for half an hour, I suggested. But I was just sitting and laughed because Jasper shrugged, pointing at the stack of already finished homework. And since you already did your math homework, I guess can just play video. I guess can just play video games. I said, giving in. It wasn't a full smile, but for a second he stretched his lips, and that was enough to reveal the same dimples his brother has. That his brother had. He sat down on the couch as he set up the game in consoles. I tried to explain what I couldn't tell him yesterday. Sorry about yesterday. I didn't mean to say that I had to come here. Sometimes I say things without thinking, just to turn around to look at me. There's a resemblance was uncanny at first glance. The cheekbones and the nose and thin nose were the same as James. The Jester's lips were a bit thinner, and his eyes were round, unlike his brother, were narrower, which were narrower. I'm sorry that I fought with your brother. I didn't want to raise my voice, but he saw Jasper clenched his jaw and sobbed. I made it right by the first. I made it right by saying the first thing that came to mind. I mean, it was also my fault. I started. Jasper nodded when he heard me change my tune. Right. Never mind your family members. It was my fault. With that, we spent over an hour playing video games until we heard a thud at the front door. I, I begged Stephen, just like Jasper. Luckily, James ignored me. He walked down the hallway without even going to the living room. I breathed a sigh of relief, but there was no longer any trace of the expression that I worked so hard to put on Jasper's face. Do you want to keep playing? He looked up, he looked at the stairs. I want to eat something. It's past 7. I was trying anything to put him in a good mood. Jasper looked pleased with my suggestion. So we went to the kitchen and he grabbed a bag of microwavable popcorn. Do you know how to do it? Larry Strand, then he glanced hopefully at the stairs again. Jasper, where is it? I couldn't pretend any longer when he looked to the side. And I understood. Do you want me to talk to him about it? Really? It would have been easy to ignore the imperceptible imperceptible gestures that the Jasper was making, just like just like his facial micro expressions. But I saw him nod so resolutely that I didn't have any way out. Obviously, homework was so easy for you. Alternate did the wine pointing at the popcorn. Instead of a small crepe across his face when he saw me walk upstairs. I walked upstairs. The I walked up the stairs in an exaggerated, slow way, as if I was wishing to come back to my senses from one moment to the next. A loud thud reverberating in the silence startled me. James, what's going on? Go fucking damn it. James, what's going on? God fucking damn it. I saw him hopping around his room like an imbecile. What the hell are you doing? Damn it. I hit my elbow on the desk. On the desk. He had a cotton mouth and was mumbling. Didn't see his head because it was still hidden then in a t-shirt. He couldn't then he couldn't put on. My God, it's 7 at night, Hunter. You're so embarrassing, I remarked, watching him stumble. You sound like my dad. He spat, still fighting with the t-shirt. I would prefer to to make him suck it up, but ultimately I decided to bury the hatchet and help him. I took it off his arms and removed it completely. James jumped back. He stayed still and stared at me, wearing only a pair of jeans. Do it for Jasper, I told him myself as I stood holding his shirt. But as soon as I noticed that it smelled good, I threw it on the floor. You don't have to pay to watch the show. Wait, what show? A dumbass who can't even take off his clothes by himself? His, he shoved my shoulders against the wall. What's your deal? It was totally different when I was alone with him. Just him and me. I felt the heat of his thumb along my arm. They went back on our agreement. Wait, so did you, Hunter. The silence followed. A strange silence. He never shut up, and he never let me have the last word. You should use them. You should use them more. I changed the subject, pointing at the punching bag hanging in the middle of his room. James raised an eyebrow. That was ended up on the receiving end of the punches, I explained. Is that supposed to be a joke? Up until now, it's been true. He he backed he backed away from me to sit on his bed. He slouched and put his elbow on his knees. I can't fight back. Don't you get it? He mumbled with a shuddered sigh. I stayed still so the distance would give me some room to breathe. Why? Because if I do, I'm screwed. I've already been to juvie. They'd throw me right back in if I tried to even. The boy sounded dead insecure. I used it to my advantage. Why you beat Brian Hood last year? Jim shook his head, sneering, then stretched on his bed with his arms spread. I admire my mom's half buzzed more than once where the muscles audaciously jutted out, contrasted by delicate features as if to represent innate elegance. Innate elegance. But I didn't see any of that in James. No art, no perfect brushstrokes, just disarming humanity. Something more. It was something that couldn't be depicted in a painting. I started the feeling in dispute, so I stopped studying him. You fucking done? I'm gonna check on your brother. Talk to you later, I announced. Wait, you handed in the homework we had to do together. Yeah, tomorrow morning. I already finished it. just so we don't, just so we wouldn't have to do it together. He said he's gonna even hide a thank you, let alone a sense of guilt. I think Jasper wants to spend time with you. I said, pressing on. I said, pressing on. James hid his eyes in the hollow of his arm, preventing me from seeing his reaction. I did see his swallow though. I need to see. Get out. Take a shower and come downstairs, please, I ordered. Do you think you can order me around way? It was just a suggestion. I corrected him. Do you think you can keep going with his bad boy act? Give it a rest. Your brother needs you. I left his room before taking a projector to my face. Is this working good? James nodded, giving me a hint of smile. I dug my hand in the still warm bowl. We fought over the rest of the popcorn over, over Netflix. You sure you're not still hungry? I asked over the now empty bowl. Jasper motioned that he wasn't. I checked the time on my phone and it was 8 and I needed it to get back home. James still hadn't come down. I gotta go. When's your dad coming back? I struck him. I gotta go. When's your dad's coming? When's your dad coming back? I saw him shrug and keep watching TV. I was oblivious to my question. Do you prefer that I stay or up until now his answers were hard to interpret, but this time his answer was clear. He wanted me to stay. He made it clear by putting his head softly on my shoulder. Fine, but just a half an hour more. It didn't take a rocket scientist to see that Jasper needed love. And his brother couldn't even take care of himself. You still here? Speak of the devil, and she shall. You still here? Speak of the devil, and he shall appear. He finally emerged in a gray hoodie and a gray pants. Esther just went to sleep. I was afraid I'd wake him. It's an intense scent of sugary vanilla filled my nostrils. It was a refreshing fragrance, as if James' body was still covered in shower gel. Okay, yes, okay. James came closer with a shirty expression on his face. For a moment, I didn't know what he was going to do. But when he leaned down to Jasper and lifted him up off me, I felt relief. He carried his brother up to his room. I followed him silently. In Jasper's room, James laid him down gently on his bed. As I tucked him, as I tucked him in, saw he wouldn't get cold. Did he? Asked James inquisitively. No, I mean we shared some popcorn to tell you the truth. I ate almost all of it. And James cut me off with a hostile tone. Don't dodge the question. Tell me why the fuck you do it. I looked up to meet his eyes, which were still big and bright. What are you're talking about? Why are you nice why are you nice to my brother? My mom made me wasn't a ballet excuse anymore. That's Jasper's adorable, I admitted. James let out a heavy sigh before sitting on the twin bed next to his brother's. Yeah, right, my dad's desperate. His admission caught me by surprise. What do you mean, am I right? I saw his shoulders wilt. He just started middle school. Nobody knows him, but everyone's already making fun of him. That's terrible. Why? He fiddled with the sleeve of his hoodie for how he is, the way he talks for everything. So he isolated himself even more. I could have, I could have sworn the clang of James' heart shattered into a million pieces on the floor. He's a sensitive kid. I can't imagine what he's going through. I sat next to him, maybe because talking about Joshua made me forget everything, even the fact that I just sat next to the guy I hated more than anyone on the face of the earth. The Jonathan doesn't know what to do. He stared into space and kept talking. He tried everything: primary care doctors, specialists, Targeted therapy. Is there any margin of improvement? We whispered, glancing apprehensively at Jasper, who was sound asleep. There will be, there will be, but my brother is also stubborn. James bit the inside of his cheek. The bullet doesn't help. It started out as in, out as isolated late, late incidents. He stopped talking in class or in situations where he was around people he didn't know. But then, after a period of time, he stopped talking. I recognized a silent then tremble in James's voice. Just smart. Has he 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 that's what's not. Oh, that's just very smart. He has his own sense of humor, his own personality. The others couldn't just get to really know him instead of treating him like a freak. I tried to say something, but I felt like an idiot faced with James's pain, despite him suffering in a way that I knew very well. What what could I say in this in these cases? I was usually on the receiving end of comforting words, didn't know how to give them to others, and I'm sorry we wasn't enough, and I knew it. Nobody like pity. I don't want Jasper to end up like me. I was speechless. Tears went down my spine. Ah, I don't want Jasper to end up like me. I was speechless, and shivers went down my arms. You don't like you don't like not being able to defend him, do you? Yes. James bowed his head and tilted with a sour look. Does my dad pay you? What? What are you talking about? No. So why do you do it? Is your mom really that convincing? He asked skeptically. Yeah, she can be pretty convincing, but I kept doing it because I like to. Why do you want to help me? Why? Again, with a stupid question. Not doing it for you. It's just what spit it out. He demanded, questioning me with his glare. Did he really want to know? And did I really have to tell him? Nothing. Maybe I seen a bit of myself in you. I had a brother too. I immediately hit both hands in my hoodie sleeves. If, if it wasn't enough to hide the excruciating pain that I felt when I said that aloud. What the fuck are you saying? That's not true. His, his spat, pulling a vape pen out of his tracksuit. Yeah, it is. James frowned, staring at me skeptically. I didn't know that. Younger than you? No older. He died of leukemia. He was 16. I was around Joshua's age. Then my parents separated. I saw him take the vape pen out of his lips. Fuckwit. A note of distressing sadness lingered in his raspy voice, and I found myself unavailable to swallow. Though I just told him something so personal for no reason. It sucks. Well, all I managed needs to. It sucks. Well, all I managed to say. Life definitely sucks. But maybe there's no need to remind you of that. You learned that all on your own. Thank you for so. Thank you so much for your tech and diplomacy. I grown by people here from pain. Bullshit. He said, I felt his eyes on me, but I couldn't turn around. Do you really heal from it? My throat burned. I wasn't really healed, but I definitely couldn't tell him how I hid any negative emotions and substituted with substituted it with physical pain. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't tell myself to listening to himself breathe as the night fell outside the window. What happened to you? I breathed. What do you mean? Well, have you always been like this? So what, princess? You sound was spiteful. I didn't know that our little truce would only last for the blink of an eye. So, hot head, arrogant, full of himself, for some just rude. The list of adjectives went on. I was born this way. Have you met Jordan? Being an asshole is in our DNA. His statement made me laugh. But when I turned around, James didn't seem like he was joking. I didn't believe you. Oh well, if you meet my mom, you'll be convinced quickly. Wait, James, your mom? 1 minute. We were talking peacefully. The next time the unexpected happened, he roughly grabbed my elbow. Ow, try not to do that. What? Don't pry into my life. What I do is none of your concern, he commanded. Are you really that scared of what I might find out? My provocation had the potential to irritate him even more. Because he pushed me on the bed, this time more vehemently, forcing me to lie down under him. I don't give a flying fuck. If I find out that you're still poking around, you'll pay for it. Do you understand that? He threatened, overpowered me. I just I just confided in him, and he responded by threatening me like that. I was so stupid. I don't give a fuck about you, Hunter. Don't flatter yourself. I accept with self-confidence that shuddered every time he was anywhere near me. He lips breathed onto mine, leaving me a little room to think of something smart to say. I had to close my eyes. Ask myself why I behaved that way. I would I like Will, not him. Will was sensitive, kind, and being around them sensitive, kind, and being around him made me feel calm. Sure, there were some moments of inconsistency that made me doubt his interest in me. But I didn't like James at all, and being near him agitated me. You're always with you're always with these ladies. Leave little to be desired, Hunter. I whispered with a joy of courage. I tried to push him off with all my strength, but my hands were powerless against his rock hard chest. It's not like me to threaten girls because they don't ask me all these questions like you do. They keep quiet. That would never happen with me, am I right? At the exact same time that he was getting even closer to my face, we noticed that we stopped arguing. We looked each other for a few seconds. What the fuck got into your head? He exclaimed, irritating, jumping up. I sat up and turned my head away from him so he wouldn't see my flushed cheeks. What are you talking about? Shouldn't you be at Will's? His voice was gruff and raspy like sandpaper, somber like the night, somber like the night. I saw him run his fingers through his hair as if that could alleviate the tension. Now I should get home. I get up robotically and he did the same. I turned around instinctively once I got to the door. You're likely to have him. Desperate man. James put his hand in his pants pocket and nodded. Yeah, and maybe he's likely to have you, I added. There- There's no way have to come on the sense to tell me that. He smiled. I shook my head, but I felt every muscle in her face heat up. I'm heading out. Bye. June. I barely turned and my head went spinning. It was a potent, almost all encompassing sensation. His eyes could swallow me up. They were so dense and deep that they seemed like I could fall into them. I know I could be an asshole. Maybe for the sake of everyone, it's better that you keep going. Thank you, I concluded under my breath. A sense of emptiness that was gripping my chest quickly filled the rest of it. There were unknown confusing emotions. I recognized one, happiness. 41. June. The next day, 41. June. The next day, I was back in the vice principal's office to hand in the assignment that he given us. That's why you did this alone. There are just there are just two skimpy pages. Do you think I just started my job yesterday? I've had the students try to pull one over on me for the one. I have a student try to pull one over on me for an entire lifetime. For an entire lifetime. But 1 hour? What are you talking about? Hunter and I did it together. The vice president didn't want any excuses. He seemed pretty intent on making me swallow the assignment I just given him. I want both of I want both of your signature at the bottom of the assignment, and that tag will have to work. What if I left the office hanging my head? I hope with every fiber of my being that he wouldn't call my mom, otherwise I'd be screwed for sure. Will, are you coming to class? It was Will finally. It was Will finally. Got to chemistry and found him standing on the bench with his perfect hairstyle and a smile that was quite as dazzling. Hi, Will. I distinctly felt my face. I distinctly felt my wall calm down. I could find, I could feign, I could have feigned all the disinterest in the world, but I was unable to. I was happy to see him, and I couldn't hold a grudge. What do you, what you do over the past few days? Study like a hermit? He asked, leaning against the back of his seat. Well, actually, my eyes darted to the door where James Hunter was hunched over his phone. I studied less than normal in tomorrow's exam. They were stopped at they were stopped as James headed toward us and he halted in front of us. He stared at me instantly. What do you want? I asked. Maybe for you to leave? Huh. My eyes widened curiously. James pointed at William. We need to talk. Move. James pointed at William. We need to talk. Move. James behaved around for everyone. James behaved around her every once in a while. Will said, shaking his head. James shoulders tense. He took off his stupid leather jacket and grabbed his seat, turning it around backwards to sit with us. So you saw. I talked in front of her then. Then stayed there. Will tried to dissuade him, but he was already talking. I have the poker game tonight. Wow, revelating. Now that I heard that earth-shattering news, the tide was turning on my whole day. Okay, what's so shady about that? I interjected. Neither of them answered. Took it, it I took it to mean they were excited. William leaned forward and whispered, "At the club? Is the only way, Will. Is the only way, Will. They'd never give it back to you." James crossed his arms. I, I try. If worse comes to worse, I have fun. William unexpectedly turned around to me. Do you want to come? James did not exchange glasses. He was horrified. Mine was confused. What the fuck are you saying, Will? He burst out. Like a few times, was that a joke? I had to. It, 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 it had to be. Will and I had planned on going out. Instead, he was inviting me to go. I don't know where with. I don't know who. But most importantly, to, to do what? I laughed, thinking it was a joke. But I soon understand that Will was serious. Snow White Virgin Eyes definitely would burn if she went in there, James said, laughing. Meaning, I growled at him, there's no place for you. We're going to. There is no place for you. Well, granted. Well, James looked at me with an arrogant smirk, so I got up to leave. It's a fresh air, and they confused me. I was collapsed against the hallway wall when Will caught up to me. John, what's going on? If if he liked me as much as he did, if he liked me as much as he said he did, if he liked me as much as he said he did, why couldn't he be along with me for a single damn night? Maybe Emilia was right, and little strategy wouldn't hurt since William seems to take care of me for granted. Why don't you ever say no to him, Well? You don't get it, John. Can you not even say no to him once? I tried to push a lock of his hair behind my ear, but I pulled back. June, listen. It's June, listen. If James get himself into a bad situation, it's my fault too. Then tonight you have a choice, either me or him. I said it out loud, but I couldn't then bear to see Will's expression, so I turned around and ran to the bathroom. Mom, someone's at the door. No one answered. The doorbell kept ringing. I looked out the window, but didn't see a car in the driveway. Mom, I want a horse. I finally remembered that she left for her painting night class. I prayed that if it was a delivery person, that they wouldn't be cute. I was in a pitiful condition. I found the door open and was speechless. Well, sound escaped my lips that was so sure that I barely recognized my own voice. I don't like ultimatums, he announced. You're right. I was impulsive. Wait, let me say something. He stopped me. I want to make time for us, for me and you. He seemed sure, and since he seemed sure and sincere, but I couldn't believe him anymore. You're not gonna invent another excuse not to see me tomorrow. I said, running my fingers through my messy hair. I tried to hide that I was primping right in front of him. But Will was so focused that he didn't seem to notice. Yeah, and I wouldn't then fault and I wouldn't then fault you for thinking that. I'm just saying. There were two steps between us, but he rushed over and kissed me. I parted my lips, letting the tongue seek mine. And I suddenly felt my heat and I suddenly felt my head get lighter. Will stopped on it knee to put my face in his hand. All I do is think All I do is think about you. That that has to mean something, right? Yeah, are you coming in or we are we just gonna stand at the door like two idiots? I circled before letting him in. I saw him crane his neck to familiarize himself with his surroundings. Where were you eating? He asked with his smile the delicious scent in the kitchen. Not yet. My mom left me the lasagna. I was just heating it up in the microwave. In fact, I need to take it out. I got distracted with my science homework. Only you forgot to eat because you're too busy studying. And then my hands were in his hands, and his mouth was on my lips. Everything was wonderful, but I had to remember the roller coasters. A little, a little voice in my head told me, "Papa, sorry." It was weird seeing William in my house. Is your mom out? Yeah, she told me. She had a painting class, but I think it's all excuses to hide the fact that she's dating someone. I groaned, putting a tray out of the microwave. Put yourself in her shoes. She wanna meet someone after the divorce. Depends on who, I swallow. Depends on who. I swallow. Wanna eat with me? I asked, showing him the generous portion. Winnie Cooper was at my house in the flesh, but I was hungry. And when I was hungry, not even the hottest guy in the world could match up to a nice plate of lasagna. Are you only going to eat then? Will said as he helped me set the table. Well, well, of course not. Well, of course not. I chuckled. My freezer full. He laughed with me. Where are your parents? I asked him as we sat as we sat at the table sharing the food. In the Middle East for work. He told me about their pharmaceutical company. He explained that his parents were trying to patent a, a drug that they been testing. What he told me, he gave me the impression that he came from a wealthy but rather absent family. We ended up spilling 3 servings of lasagna, and dinner went by without a hitch. A few minutes later, I got up to brush my teeth and freshen up in the mirror. I was wearing a white oversized t-shirt over a pair of jeans. I should have known he would be visiting. I would have at least fixed my hair, put on socks that were a color there other than fluorescent yellow, I'll and maybe but who was asking? And maybe but who was I kidding? I called him on the phone when I went back to the kitchen. What was that, James? Jackson, he answered as he hung up. He looked deep in thought. Want to talk about it? They're at Austin's place. James and Marvin are fighting. James is drunk. Oh, did Jackson ask for your help? For another, leading me to my next question. You're not going. No, I'm here with you. Saw him message his saw him massages his neck. He pressed so hard with his fingertips that it left marks on his skin. Well, I said that I stay here with you, June, and for once I wanna. I was wrong today. I should have told you to choose between James and me. It was immature of me to ask you to do that. I bit my lip. Maybe, but I wanted to make things work between us. Ignoring your friends isn't a way to get things to work between us. The only the the only way we can work is if you don't ghost me and you're honest with me. Well, I said decisively, and his peck on my lips was just as decisive. I closed my eyes and let our mouth lock to perfection. Shall we? I suggested. The weather. We raised both. Whether we raised both his eyebrow. Are you serious? Sure, it's no problem. I downplayed the situation. I wanted to trust well, but trust is a risk. But trust is a risky game. Jackson put up. Jackson picked us up around 10 minutes there, and as soon as we got there, we then jumped out of the car to separate Marvin and James. The meeting place was the same. The outside of the building was packed. What's going on? Asked Jackson, who was standing next to me. Something about Marvin's cousin. Who knows? Man, fighting over a girl has really become the cool thing to do, I commented. Jackson stared at me for a while, and I shot him a confused look back. What is it? I want to see what you say when they do it for you, White. Huh? Sure, play it down. But you should know it doesn't suit you. Jackson had made it clear on multiple occasions that he hated me if I could only figure what he had against me. Look, I don't want to fight for someone I don't give a flying fuck about. James burst out, pointing at the brunette with the bob to Marvin's right. Maybe it's better to bring him home. He's drunk, announced Will. Yeah, as spectators of the unfolding tra- tragic comedy skit surrounding us. Why? Why isn't he always drunk? I said sharply. No, he can handle the hard liquor. I turned to look at Marvin, who was shook, his clean-shaven head confused. What do you want from James Hunter? I don't want shit. What do you ask her? She'd be on my ass all night. What a child. Melanie kept rubbing loudly from her end. He asked me if I had a friend. Why would he ask me that if he's dating me? He made a fool out of me. Jane burst out laughing. At that point, Marvin finally came out to his cousin's defense. And I asked you not to be a dick. At least not to her. At least not to her. What I done wrong now? Just keep edging the girl on. She met him halfway. Marvin could barely restrain her. You hitting me. You humiliated me with that terrible joke. What joke, Marvin? What joke? Asked Marvin. James lost it. He looks like someone who had felt everything at 18 and boredom was all that was left. I don't want to get into the details, but you're giving me no choice. The lady, the lady here said she just wanted to. James stopped to put a finger on his chin, holding leaning back giggles like a ready kid. Stick a straw, holding the hands, and I said no. I'm not allowed to turn down and walk, aren't I, Marvin? Get to the point. The others snapped, irritated. The others snapped, irritated. And then I said, unless you have another friend, in that case, I might reconsider. What's wrong with that? You're an animal. You said something completely different. And besides, and not enough for you, squawked Melanie, waving her arms around. Her intent, her intent was anything but friendly. She wanted to get to James at all costs. But Margaret held her back and tried to calm her down. This is too much for me. Well, I'm sorry, but I don't want to stay here. And then listen to the scrub. I whispered into his ear before walking away. Where are you going, June? Inside, I replied, without really knowing how to find my bearings. The neon sign had glow over my head, trace, and now the moment finally arrived to discover that this bizarre place was hiding. I heard the music blasting inside as rays of light shone out the door. Wait, nah, alone. William took my hand, grabbed and took William took my hand, grabbed James by his leather jacket, and dragged him in with us. A borrowed bodyguard at the front door greeted well without asking questions, despite us clearly being too young to be in a place like this. I wasn't planning on standing. I just wanted to take a peek inside once and for all. Yes and I are going to take care of something, then we go home. William's words sounded far away, even though he was close enough for, our arms to touch. The bells pounded in my chest, and my eyes took forever to adjust to the psychedelic lights. My vision seemed blurry, or maybe there was just a ton of smoke. The only thing I was sure about was the persistent smell of alcohol that enveloped me along with a hint of woman's perfume. A guy with a reddish hair approached me menacingly. It didn't take long to realize it it, it, it was Ethan it was Ethan Austin. Is Blondie with you? Oh Hunter. Will didn't seem to understand, given how focused he was on holding things up by his jacket sleeve. Who are you talking about, Austin? Hey, do you have anything here that's non-alcoholic? The only thing that seems to matter to Will was to make sure his friend was drinking water, and then bring him home. Do I look like a waiter, Cooper? I'm I'm the owner. Ask them, answered Austin, pointing at the waiters with bottle service. I didn't notice at first, but they were everywhere, waiting tables behind the bar around metal poles. Right went why as I realized that I was in a strip club. I was surrounded by men dressed in somewhat nice suits and girls who danced suggestively at the low light, emphasizing their curves. Their outfits were the definition of what my mom called trashy. One of them passed by James and winked, but he seemed to focus what little attention he had left on Ethan Austin. Hey, Austin, how's your girlfriend? The guy's James owes money too. I asked, well, he squeezed my hand, he squeezed my hand harder. Ethan's his son. James talked to him like that? Isn't isn't he afraid of getting beat up again? What do you think he always getting into his shit? He's not afraid of anything, June. That's the issue. William sounded it exacerbated it, and I got frustrated. I don't know. Anything because you never told me about in accident, Will. Trust me, that's for the best. I don't want to put you in danger. He leaned toward me and touched my face with his fingertips before planting a kiss on me. It was this romantic. It was less romantic than usual, maybe because of where we were. Didn't even close my eyes. In fact, I saw James chugging not about nearby. Then I quit drinking. Well, get distracted, did I exclaim. Austin disappeared. William grabbed James by his jacket sleeve again and took the bottle of vodka out of his hands. Join the parking game, yes or no? Yes. Did they give it back to you? James shook his head. No. James shook his head. No gun, I froze. I saw James hold back an almost irritatingly childish smirk that reminded me of his brother. Then he turned around toward me, surprised. Fuck, White, are you here too? Well, are you the sharpest tool in the shed? I replied as silly as well, leaning against the counter to order some water. James curved his lips and started it vacantly at my mouth. He was clearly ripped, roaring drunk, and his red cheek didn't point to anything good either. And why are you here again? He he whispered in a tone that sent a chill down my spine. I was overwhelmed by conflicting emotions. A moment later, his cobalt eyes looked so bright in the dark that they might reminded me of the brushstrokes my mom used to intensify the ocean in a storm. A cocktail of conflicting sensations surfaced, surfaced in me. I was revealing what he said in his room. It was just sadness and seeped into his story. It wasn't just sadness that seeped into his story last night. There were fear, rage, and lack of understanding. I just seen the tip. I just seen the tip of the iceberg, while the rest remaining, while the rest remained under the cold waters of his eyes. It was too deep to swim there. He's drunk. We better get him home. And I'm not a fan of these people, Will said, handing a water bottle to his friend who pretended to take a sip. Only I saw a group of shitty guys around a table were overflowing with glasses and half-open bottles. They were more likely to leave from the Austin family. I decided to play detective another time because the other one was looking at me in a way that made me uneasy. If we left. Neither Jackson nor Marvin were there, nor was his cousin. Will pointed at Jackson's fire engine red pickup truck in the parking lot. As James kept laughing, he managed to steal a bottle of the tequila without anyone noticing. And he and he found that particularly exhilarating. And he found that particularly exhilarating. Lay down, lay down in in back and don't make a mess. Will commanded. Why is right here? James was situated with by me, so William turned around to the back seat and took the bottle out of his hand. This, well, no, I won't give. And took back to those assholes. Here, June. I'm gonna call. Here, June. I'm gonna not call Marvin and Jax. Let's go home. Will gave me the bottle to hold. We don't leave me here. To be, well, don't leave me here to babysit. James pushed himself out of the car far enough to grab me with both his arms. What are you doing? I yelled, feeling myself yank across the front seat in the blink of an eye. In the blink of an eye. I found myself just straddling him. James, eh. I was still holding the bottle. I was still holding the bottle in the air for fear of spilling it. Are you out of your mind? Have you always been this bullshit? I stunned. This guy is incapable of screaming everything in my brain. But most of all, he had the disarming ability to manipulate my emotions. You're trash. You're confusing me with someone else, I shuddered. The only thing seemed to care about what I just said and started to play with my hair, forming me little blonde ringlets around his index finger. Same Sunday, Princess. Oh no, I felt trapped. He's drunk and he's just messing with you. I try myself to calm myself down, but that calm didn't last long. Do you think I'm attractive? Tell me the truth. My bare thighs scorched against his hips. What got into your head? Of course not, I whispered weakly. On that, on the one hand, on the one hand, Jane's pout was almost endearing. On the other hand, I was playing with fire. As inexperienced as I was, I knew that the first time our eyes met, I knew that the first time our eyes met, and didn't want to play with fire. Come on, damn it! Wait, it doesn't mean you want to bone me. Don't talk to me like that. It's repulsive. Maybe to hear, but not to look at. Be quiet. We're talking about serious stuff. The vice principal caught me right-handed. He said we had to do the assignment together. Hands put both hands on my bare thighs and we with a shit-eating grin. I tensed up. I tensed up. I just touched. So that's why you already put yourself in position. Sure is really laid it up to the nape of my neck. But it lasted only a second because James grabbed my hands and then put on his chest. Idiot. The homework. The homework. We had to do the homework together. Keep thinking that. And don't think so, Snow White. And you do it instead. I can write 10 pages alone. You know. And then my part, now you do yours. No, he sneered, biting his lips. James. At this point, he stretched his chin out to repeat it with more conviction. No, I'm not, I'm not coming over to the Jasper tomorrow. I leave the homework with you. Do it and we'll hand it back. We don't, we don't have to be in the same place to do it, I explained, putting a finger on his chest. You're afraid of being alone with me? He broke me this time, sitting up on his elbows. His face came closer to mine, and I could get lost in his dark eyes. There was something soft, warm, and revealing in his electric irises. Not alone. No, not alone. You're the one who's established that you don't want me in your house. Because you always get advice because you always give advice instead of requests, White. I'm just trying to help Hunter. But we're not friends, he declared, staring at her mouth. I felt she was so strong that it made my hands spin. I looked down, feeling guilty. James, look, I don't know what you're thinking about. Exactly, you don't know, he said sarcastically, sounding more lucid than I expected. Yeah, maybe. You don't understand. Yeah, maybe. You don't understand. I'm helping. Then maybe you don't understand. If I'm helping Jasper, I'm doing it for him. It has nothing to do with you. The glare pierced through me. The son and them should look at me like that. How? The same way you were staring at me yesterday in my house. My words, my words got stuck in my throat when his tongue brushed my lower lip. I wasn't. James started. James stared at me in a way that made me feel like I had to shower. Like you're staring at me now. My body went weak. It felt like jelly. Without applying too much pressure, James hooked a lock of hair behind my ear and brushed absentmindedly against my neck with his fingertips, making me shiver again. My eyes got my eyelids got heavy from all the tension. Then he reached for my hand. Then he reached for my hand that held the tequila. He grabbed a bottle, leaving me the jaw, leaving me the jaw. He grabbed the bottle, leaving me with my jaw dropped. You fell for that, really? What an asshole! Give me back the bottle, Hunter. No, he exclaimed. No, he exclaimed, laughing. I grabbed it again in one fell swoop, but when I tried to get out of that position, he wrapped his arm around my waist, force, forcefully pushing me against his pelvis. I almost lost my balance, and to avoid being all over him, I pushed him onto the seat without a hand on his chest. Are you a dumbass? I spilled everything. Jackson will have a fit. I saw him shake his head to break free of his hair covering his eyes. Wait, give it. No. He held me still with one hand and fumbled behind my back with the other. As soon as he realized how ticklish I was, he decided to be merciless. James, no, please, not really. We spilled everything. Then I stopped laughing and howling out of frustration. Out of frustration. James, we were making a mess. Look at now. I swallowed another curse word because it was too late. My fingers were soaking wet. The bottle fell out of my hands, spilling part of its content to Jackson's leather jacket. Oh shit. I heard him laugh louder. You got the seat wet, you idiot. I tried to breathe normally. You're the one who got the seat wet, you moron. What's so funny? Oh, for God's sake, it was Will. Nothing. I explained suddenly, jumping out of the truck. James' hair, James' hair was messy. He was flushed and out of breath, just like I was. William was looking at us like we were crazy. Nothing. Snow White, said Austin. Looks like a koala with a wig. I laughed as I laughed as I got out of the car. I laughed as I got out of the car. Will you sit in front, June, with me? I noticed there's a hint of gruffness. Was William's words, but I decided not to pay attention to that. Jackson asked as I got into the passenger seat. He's coming back with Marvin. He left the car here and asked me to take care of it. You guys didn't do any did, damage to it, did you? Who else? Who else? James clicked from the back seat. I held back a laugh. Of course not. I wasn't in a position to tell well we already done a few $100 worth of damage in there. James bashed his forehead against the back of my head seat of my headrest. Uh, then reached his arm over to play with the hair on the nape of Will's neck. Ta-da, Will, him patiently. Looked like he was used to James' bizarre behavior when he was drunk. He snapped in reply, turning around with his shoulder on the seat. I was seemed too preoccupied with other things to tonight. I wondered if he really meant to. Will started to talk by cutting himself off as soon as he realized his friend wasn't listening. Something took him on my side, and I almost jumped out of my seat. Everything okay? Will asked when he saw me squirming in place. Yeah, everything's fine. I showed away James' fingers by elbowing in his seat as he started to laugh again. Obviously, he was drunk. James, we tried calling him, but he was on his phone. Will you take me to Tiffany's? He asked at a certain point. You sure? Well, where is his eyebrow? Actually, no, Taylor's. Sure, was that in? Sure was that in? Sure was that in auction? The who over the who over offers more. I grumbled, irritated. No, it's a pajama party. What does that mean? You don't know. You don't want to know, Snow White. You don't want to know, Snow White. A quick ride, we reached an exclusive gated community with guards and railroad crossings. The security guy stopped and looked in his car, but when he saw James, he he motioned for us to pass. The car stopped in front of a mega mansion. I've never seen such a big building. Will seemed mildly concerned. James looked the total looked the total opposite. Where's where are taters, man? You sure you can do this? I don't I don't know well. I don't know well. I'll sorry about it tomorrow. James planted a kiss on his friend's cheek and turned his chin to look me right in the eye, trapping me in the depth of his eyes. In that moment of distraction was enough from was enough for him to take the tequila bottle out of my hand. Hunter, he laughed and got out of the car. Hunter, he laughed and got out of the car. Work on your reflexes, White. 2. James. Wow. 42. James. 42. James. The 42G. Drinking, snorting, coke, fucking, and check all the boxes. There was just one left, the most complicated one. From outside, looking in, looking in, it looked like I let in aspirational charm in life. But the reality was so awful, so predictable, almost cliche. Almost cliche. There are now I was a bad boy dedicated to indulging in drugs, alcohol, and sex. My popularity was due to a specific list of things: money, girls, and a right dose of egotism. They justifying by being so good looking that it made everyone obsessed with me. Is that who I was? Was I convinced that that's who I was? No, even I knew my head was ruled by chaos. My emotions were confusing. I was unable and I sought our attention continuously. My body wasn't used my body wasn't used to reacting alone, but receiving continuous hits to plac to plac to placate all the excessive stimuli going berserk in my brain. Drugs were my salvation and my perdition. Edward was never still. Edward stuck too much. Edward moved around too much. Edward didn't sleep much. True. Edward didn't sleep much. My true essence had been repressed for so long that even I didn't know who I was anymore. But I was sure about one thing. I didn't give a fuck about what anyone else said about me. My only strategy was the one thing made me survive. But I already died once. My teeth, you get it? But I died once. I gritted my teeth at the thought I needed to overdo it. And diversions, more diversions. Even more extreme destruction, I needed something else. Something more. Teddy came to greet me wearing red silk pajamas and said, Jamie, welcome back. Where are you? I recognized the smell of the reposado tequila on her breath. She left to take shots of it with her friends. I stung my nostrils and made me nauseated. She gave me a quick kiss, putting my chin into her mouth instead of my lips. She was trash, maybe more wasted than I was. Enough, I groaned reluctantly. You went out like that? She asked, looking at my tracksuit pants. So, where's that asshole dad of yours? He was he was wandering, hunting, and gun nut. A colossal dickhead in everyone's sense of the word. Do you think I'd invite you if he was home? Did I mimic my voice as she fixed her long blonde hair in the hallway mirror? I stopped asking questions about her bizarre behavior. First, she screamed at me that she wanted then nothing to do with me. Then, after a few days, she invited me over. Or maybe I knew exactly why. But I prefer to fool myself and pretend that she cared about me and not about the hour of fun. I managed to give her I managed to give her when I graced her with my presence. I press I press I pressed beside her, letting my fingers run slowly through her straight hair, caressing her without her noticing because she was too busy admiring herself. I decided to ignore my reflection. Something gave me the chills. Over time, it disgusted me. I made myself at home, walking through the hallway, walking through the hall to the living room. where a fireplace created lit intimidate cozy atmosphere. Sitting on a Persian rug, Tiffany was in her underwear, completely focused on rolling a joint. There I was, did something more. When she noticed me, she magically lost interest in what she was doing. Are you like that? I asked, dryly leering at her bra, which pushed up her rounded breast. She smiled at me mischievously. You know how it is. I was expecting you. What do you say? Terry came into in the living room and intervened immediately. Nothing. I said, you wrote me saying you wanted company, but you already have company. Tiffany is here. I pointed to the undressed girl. She didn't seem to pay attention to what I was saying. As a matter of fact, she pushed me on the couch. Tiffany came closer to her and whispered in her ear. Okay, let's play a game, Kitty giggled. Her expression changed when she heard the rest of the sentence. No, Tiff, that isn't a game. Just an excuse for you to make out with my boyfriend. She bristled. They picked, they picked my curiosity. What game is it? I saw a bit of excitement in Tiffany's eyes. We take turns, by blindfolding each other, and we had to guess who's kissing us. Or they guess who's kissing us. Okay. And we had to guess who's kissing us. Not opposed to, I announced, puffing my chest out as I stretched my arms out on the top of the couch. Tiff cut it up. You're too friendly when you drink too much. What are you talking about? Jackson since coming too, Tiffany offended herself. Why are you still chasing after Jackson? Tilly said, irritated, squatting. I'm not. I'm inviting him because I want to see him. At that point, she went to sit on the rug, sulking, as Taylor jabbed at her tartly. Do you really believe Jackson will want to be with you eventually? Why would he be desperate? I came to her defense. Tiffany, listens and has great taste. I don't understand what more Jackson could want. Nothing. Just that she doesn't seem like his type. The other talking about kissing me. How did we ended? How did we end up talking about Jackson? I got I got the nail polish. I remained on the couch enjoying Taylor their kissing my neck, but I couldn't stop teasing Tiffany leaving as she left the room. Don't forget the blindfold. I won't, she winked, with a mysterious grin. We heard the bell ring, and a little while later, Jackson came in. What the fuck are you doing here? I demanded with an eyebrow raised. Tay told me you were here. I want to see how you were. I moved over on the couch and made room next to me. Tell him you care. To tell him you came for the manicure. Tear that was sitting on my legs. Tiffany came back with the case of nail polish. She was still in her bra and underwear. But Jackson didn't even look at her. Pick a color, Jax. You, James. Don't take the long. Does it take a long time to dry? I asked, scanning the nail polish in bottles. Around 10 minutes. I have no interest in waiting. And you don't have a black one, I grumbled, pointing out a vape pen. Jackson picked a red one. Come on, James Taylor cooed. She put her blonde head on my chest. I felt a jump. She never been this affectionate with me. She put her hand on my chest. I felt a jump. She'd never been this affectionate with me. She was just one. She was just wasted. Maybe she forgot to hate me. My hands are full, remember? I grabbed the turn on the vape pen and showed it to her between my fingers. She grabbed my left hand. She grabbed, she grabbed my left hand. Her hands are so beautiful, right, Jax? Taylor stared at him as Stephanie painted his nails. They don't look like they're painted right. Jackson downplayed the compliment. Had to put the blindfold on for the game, Jamie. Taylor is usually betting in her style of voice, but now as slowly as honey. She went from treating me like shit to worrying about me, like she really cares. But but then anything she did surprise me. Everyone around me wanted something from me always. Didn't give me a hard time. Are we done? About are we done? Talking about fucking hands. What kind of game is this, Jackson? What kind of game is it? Jackson asks with his unusual criticism. The girls go, don't worry about it. We're done for you now. All you gotta do is guess. Tiffany finished painting Jackson's nails, then pulled out the sleep mask Taylor used. They were pink and had the word princess on them. Jackson stayed still as Tiffany blindfolded them. Then he waved her index fingers in front of him to make sure he couldn't see anything. Put a vape pen between his lips and pushed a lock of soft hair back. Don't touch my hair, Tiff. Jackson spat, shaking his head in frustration. The girls giggled as I looked from the mask. The girls giggled as I looked from the mask of my. The girls giggled as I looked from the mask to friends. As I looked from the mask to my friend's mouth, stopping to gaze at his lip piercing. Yes, sir, was Jackson, called Taylor, exciting, motioning for her friend to kiss him first. Tiffany put the nail polish on the table and approached the couch. Boring. I stopped her with I stopped her way with my arm before she could get next to Jackson's face and whispered in Taylor's ears, "You kiss him. You kiss him." My eyes went wider, and her lips curled into a disappointment grimace. Into a disappointment grimace. It was good to remind Taylor every once in a while, even though she thought she was my girlfriend. We weren't together, and certainly didn't feel even the less amount of jealousy watching her kissing my best friend. It was almost more titillating than me kissing her myself. Jackson was still perched on my knee when she flung herself toward where Jackson and pecked him on the lips. Who was it? She asked after Tef. He guessed unwillingly wrong. It was Tater. You can take you can take off the blame until you guessed right, exclaimed Tiffany soundly. So Jackson puffed up his chest, then exhaled. It was Tiffany's turn, but surprised she didn't even move. She turned around to stare at me for a moment. Her eyes lit up, and she exchanged an electrifying look with Tater. It took a second. It took a second guess, and it took a second for me to understand. Me, I'm out, and the they nodded in unison. Let's do it, whatever. I approached Jackson, accepting Tiffany to make a move. But when it came time to kiss him, but when it came time to kiss him, I vacillated. My arms was folded on the backrest, and with my other hand, I brushed against his outstretched arm, wrapped in his Letterman's jacket. I hesitated for a few seconds, and as I noticed that his shirt smelled pleasantly like fresh laundry, wow, his face smelled like something fresh and manly that mingled with the vape, smoke, and beer on his breath. I went, I wet my lips involuntarily, and then my thumb rubbed on his lower lip. Jackson breathed in deeply and parted his lips. When finally I decided to kiss him, I held back a hiccup because the tip of his tongue grazed my lower lip. When his cold lip ring tickled me, sending a chill down my spine. I was about to pull away, but when his tongue approached my mouth, I softened my lips and let him in. He breath, his breath came labored as our tongue caressed each other's. He suctioned in the air. He suctioned in the air, which caused me to stop kissing my best friend. What the fuck? Hold my head down, wipe my lip with my hand. How could he not realize it was me? Was what was supposed to be a simple peck that had turned out to be much more, even though it didn't accept me. What the fuck kind of game is that? What the fuck kind of game is this? Jackson removed his blindfold, irritated, and then looked at the brunette. Jeff? No, I could go. His milky white cheeks were tinged with red, and he stared at my mouth with an odd expression. Damn it, James, he said, shoving me. Why? Damn it, James, he said, shoving me. Why you didn't like it? I provoked him, aware of the fact that he didn't seem remotely irritated during in the kiss. Even after finding out it was me, he looked enthusiastic. The girl didn't say a word. Everything okay? I saw when I Everything okay? I asked him when I saw them staring at us. I waved my hand in front of their vacant stairs. It's been it's been Tiffany swallowed, unable to complete the sentence. Nice, answered Taylor for her. Alright, I'll let you get back to your bullshit. I gotta go. Jackson stood up and threw the blindfold on the ground. How are you getting home? I sounded in the order. "What's picking me up?" June said with him. "Actually, they're waiting for me in my car outside," he added, reading a text on my phone. "Oh, okay. Are you sure everything's okay?" I raised my voice a bit so Jackson would hear me since he was already at the door. "Yeah, see you at school." "Oh man," and I was just starting to have fun when Tiffany. She patted and huge. She patted and hugged a pillow, pushing her boobs further up in her bra. "I'm sorry here. What are you worried about? What what you bring, Jamie?" I, I let her put her hand near the button flap of my jeans to dig in my side pockets. The sound of Taylor's footsteps made her back away immediately. "Go get dressed, please, Taylor." The head of the house reprimanded her. Tiffany snapped, but instead of getting her jeans, she headed to the TV hutch. She headed to the TV hutch. She plugged her phone into the boxes. Taylor looked that Taylor took the moment to startle me again. "You're all mine tonight, right?" She tried to kiss my jaw, but I didn't even have a moment to relax. Before she started to bite my ear, though, with her scissors, hurting me, I threw my head back briskly. She didn't care, briskly, but she didn't care. I was still wearing my leather jacket when her hands went under my t-shirt, lifting it up my chest. I felt her long nails snake and scratch the sensitive skin of my abdomen, causing me to cry out. "Fuck, give me a second." I still wasn't ready, and if she put her hand between my legs, she realized that too. Taylor didn't listen to me. She was still busy kissing down my stomach, as if she just taken a brand new toy out of its out of its packaging. "What's the rush? Are you sure your dad's not coming home?" I let Taylor take my jacket off without many comments as a Billie Eilish song coming on. What are you what are you still doing here? What are you still doing here?" asked Tiffany, who kept staring at us instead of going home. I'm just here to have fun, I told you," she sighed. I licked, she said, licking her lips before twisting a lock of dark hair between her fingers. "Cut it off, Tiff. Don't break anything." Taylor flew into a rage when she realized her friend was dancing on her crystal table, seeing a half-naked girl dancing on the table while her best friend lay a hickey on my neck. Should have turned me on, but it didn't. But I didn't. I started laughing. Can that table hold her weight? She was in and out like this when she's drunk. She takes off her clothes and starts in her underwear. Taylor insisted on searching for my lips. I kissed her sugar and tequila laced lips while staring at Tiffany's dancing suggestively to the music. Maybe for a night she could be maybe maybe for a night she could be my something more. There is nothing. There was nothing wrong with going to bed with someone I'd seen with someone I'd been. There's nothing wrong with going to bed with someone I've been with 1,000 times because sex in its most classic form was a sport that was like any other, similar to boxing or football. It was a routine that let me burn off calories and blow off steam. I ended up sweaty and without energy, but fun. That was that was different. I prefer to go head to head with the Dick Austin. Yeah, sweaty and without energy, but fun. That was different. I prefer to go head and head with the Dick Austin. crushing my soul with those damn prescription drugs, or drive until I felt the thrill of death. That made me feel alive. Well, and I agree on racing, but he definitely didn't share my opinions on promiscuity. He always start he always start with that bullshit about love. It's just because you've never been in love, James. Why? If you stay with someone you love, isn't the sex better? I never got an answer to my question. Maybe because he he didn't know why. I love well more than myself. But his illness sounded like bullshit. That only the someone who never gotten laid said. What will you bring? Tiffany relative voice brought my swelling thoughts to a grinding halt. I smirked at her, then took a dime bag out of my pocket. Just this, she went. Look, cut it out. Just smoke and drink a lot tonight, Taylor told her. Taylor told her off and then switched to a more docile tone with me. Jamie wanted Jamie want to drink another recipe. Come on, Tay, just for tonight. I heard her deeper neck back. I want to get something to drink. Don't spill anything on the carpet, Tiff, or I swear I'll strangle you. Tiffany wasn't even listening to her. She waited for the blonde to leave the living room to pounce on top of me. What is it? To pounce on top of me. What's that? I asked, pointing at a What's that? I asked, pointing at a rectangular object on the table. It looked like food, and I was hungry, really hungry. Cupcakes, Tater got in a moment of weakness, then she felt guilty, and she didn't touch any of them. But did you come here just to eat? So what if I did? What the fuck do you want? I'm hungry. I stared at Tiffany, this tiny mystique, and licked my lips, tasting the sweet, manly taste of the kiss that Jackson and I had shared. Tiffany got up and bent down to the box. I drank in a in a view of her round ass, covering by her black slip while she dipped the thumb in the chocolate frosting. What one? I really said yes. She came back to the couch and moved toward me, dying for me to put her thumb between my lips. I started my tongue around and sucked on it greedily. She closed her eyes as soon as my tongue grazed over it. How are you feeling? I squeezed her butt hard as she ran her fingers lower and lower down my chest. My lips tensed when she got down a little lower. Depending on both of you, I said. I don't feel like it, she admitted, without looking down. I bet you do, Tay. Tay. Well, they never, I bet you do. Tay will never do it. How much do you want to bet? And to think that about until a few seconds ago, I thought about going home. Not now, it was a game. Let me see then. I challenged. She looked at me expectantly, and I knew exactly what I was going to do next. I knelt by the table, took out the baggie of white powder I had in my pocket, and divided it into two lines that we'd make disappear before the head of the house came back. I want to have a nose like yours, James. Tiffany rubbed the tip of the nose with her finger, but was forced to move back when Taylor appeared holding a big bottle of expensive tequila. Do you just open up an $800 bottle? Do you just open up an $800 bottle? I called. My dad isn't here. Quit checking it out, she answered acidly. She treated me like an idiot. She always did, but then Then again, should she have to treat me differently? She knew I cheated on her a million times, but she could never let me go. Actually, pay 1,500 because it was submitted because it's a limited edition. But he's a dickhead. But actually, he paid $1,500 because actually he paid 1,500 because it's a limited edition. Because he's a dickhead. You mean I grown before helping her open the bottom? I really get that after free shot. All that was missing was that Jose Cuervo Reposado that made me stumble even more. Where are you going? Taylor, Taylor, where are you going? Taylor, the control freak followed me with her eyes. I want to go to your dad's cellar. I heard her anxiously behind me. Jamie. When I turned left instead of into the wine cellar, she got even more articulate. This place gave me shivers. It seems like a war bunker. The number of rifles on the wall was astounding. A glass window protected them jealously, and if they were too precious to be displayed. But I wasn't interested in those games. Interior knew that. Unlocked the second drawer of a steel piece of furniture. Steel piece of furniture. At first glance, the empty space were barely noticeable. Everything seemed to be where it was supposed to be in row of well-organized pistols. I got to them once so that it didn't seem like he was missing like he was I got to there once so that it didn't seem like he was missing one. He never noticed. He uses his rifle was more to know that but if he comes down here on a whim to disassemble them and clean them, then he would. It's been a year and he hasn't it's been a year. It's been a year and he still hasn't done it. I whispered bemused. She tugged at me like she wanted me to wake up from that nightmare. The loser should worship the ground to walk on. There, in Ingrid James. Don't you talk about my friends like that. I ever went to the beach and media in her brother. You know that. The ground felt more slippery. I thought I fell. I better let her go home. For a moment, the ground jumped out of my body and showed itself, but and show itself for what it was, weak and defenseless. Noticed. Even Taylor noticed she immediately stopped when she saw I was shivering. She took my hands and tried to warm them up in her soft palms. No, James, stay here. We'll have fun, I promise. Whatever you want, I told him with shoulders. So we went back to the room. Tiffany seemed to be in her own little world, full of music and unicorns. She smoked and kept dancing like nothing could touch her. Fuck, I envy her. Why don't you go dance too? I urged Taylor. I spell. I spell. Aspera on her couch. Aspera on the couch and pulled everything up to raw joint. Taylor closed her eyes and started moving to the beat. Taylor wasn't like me and Tiffany. She never let anything get past her. But now her glasses was teared in bed, spilling tequila on a rug. She didn't even notice. Are we boring you? Asked Taylor as Tiffany tried to get her attention again. There was no question that Tiff had a weakness for Taylor. I was sure of that. Taylor was the only one who didn't seem to get it. Yeah. Tiffany and I looked at each other as she tried to twirl a lock of Taylor's hair around her fingers. It wasn't very graceful, so she changed her strategy. I saw Taylor just start out with her friend, lower her hand to her boob. But she was too drunk to take her seriously, and she started to giggle. She only stopped when Tiffany gave her a peck on the lips. So hello, Jamie. I laid the paper with the tip of my tongue without taking my eyes off of the girls. I knew that how you two make out. I asked almost continuously. Taylor was definitely gone. I saw her open her mouth in an exaggerated way with her friend stuck her tongue down her throat. She kept her eyes on me. I followed the movement of Tiffany's hands as she sculpted Taylor's hips and then moved under the red fabric around Taylor's legs. They didn't protest. Tiff and I were more drunk and high than Taylor. But she didn't protest even though I was convinced that she never knew, that she never allowed something like that. Not even drunk. Now, Stephanie, now. Now, nothing. We smoke this and then I'm going home. Taylor gets in bed before the dad gets here. Cut her off, leading up the joint. At first, it was exciting to go with her just to piss him off, but never since he threatened to throw me to the wolves. I was more cautious, but I was more cautious when I went there. But he's not coming back tonight, the blonde murdered before getting on top of me. Closed my eyes, my head started spinning again, and it seems like I was in Jackson's pickup pickup again. The damn princess turned red when I put my hand on her thighs. I thought you'd stay here for a bit, Jamie. And she did again when I started to fiddle with the straight hair that fell down her shoulders. If only she knew how I'd pull her hair. Taylor caressed the nape of my neck, went down my back, and dug her nails into me, making me cry in pain. I brought my joint to my lips and took a long drag, then blew out a large cloud at the ceiling. Come on, Jamie, come on. The air, the warm whisper pretend, the warm whisper penetrated my ear, brought me back down to earth. You sure you want me here? We never did it at her house, especially not with her best friend staring at us. I call you on purpose. Used me like her Taylor used me like her personal plaything. Can you take this off? I asked her as she stared to indulgently lick my lips, moving her tongue in and out of my mouth sex, sex, sexily. I got it at the parlor and paid an arm and a leg for it. Let's let me keep it on. Which girls were so boring. Don't mess up my hair. I just did it. Don't kiss me there, otherwise it'll mess up my lipstick. This outfit is the most expensive one I have. Don't tear it off me. This way I prefer guys sometimes. They were a lot simpler, fewer words and more action. Hey gentle. Taylor sank her teeth into my neck, and now she was digging her nails into my back. But my feeling of boredom decreased when she grazed my lower stomach. I liked that. It was turning me on. I caressed her shoulders, thumping her protruding collarbones. Her bra straps fell, but she tensed up. What are you doing? Tiffany's still here, she whispered, laughing as the bonnet took the joint out of my hand. It's not like you want to have her go anyway. James, don't be a perv like always. I'm not doing shit. I'm leaning my head on the couch, waiting for her next move. Taylor stood her hands on my abs and took off my t-shirt abruptly with any gentleness. I thought about when June Wade helped me get undressed. Taylor traced my chest with her arm. Taylor traced my chest with her warm hands and wet mouth. Who knew what was whirling around in the smart girl's head? Make a move, I said. Make a move, I whispered to Tiffany, who was sulking and smoking from the other side of the room. She reached out her hand as if to say, what do I do now? Come here. Move quickly. Come here. Move quickly. I barely got the words out because Taylor was devouring my lips. But you can touch him. He's mine. The blonde sighed as she noticed the other girl come closer. Tiffany put the joint between my lips, allowing me to inhale the smoke until Taylor looked at her, scandalized. You still in your underwear? Tiff, what's your deal? You don't even want to look at us. Oh, I don't think she'd limited herself to watching. I giggled. Tiffany looked over her bra to reveal her round, solid breast. I should take off. I should take off my clothes. He tangled at the nape of my neck, so I lowered my pants to my knees and remained shirtless at the mercy of their hands. Why don't you kiss her again? Urged Taylor, who looked at her friend, astounded but turned on. Her thighs were open on top of me. So all I had to do, so all I had to do was put my hand under her underwear, bend my thumb, and move it over, letting what was under rub against my boxers. James, are you too stoned? You kiss her. I supported. I supported Taylor at her hips as she leaned over to her friend. Tiffany licked her lips in such a risique way that I got hard almost immediately. I waited long enough. I dug my hands into the jacket on the couch in search of a pill. James, don't go too far. Oh, you know what no happened. Of course, what's important is that I'm always ready for you. I'm gonna take that, Taylor said. I stuck out my tongue and put the colorful pill on top of it. Tiffany, hands on top of me like I was a succulent piece of prey, but I shook my head at her. I looked at Taylor, who looked at me reluctantly. Her hesitation lasted exactly 1 second. Intertwined with a our tongues intertwined in a frantic dances as I let her take what she wanted. Jamie, I said. Jamie, I said. Jamie, I heard Tiffany's languid voice demanding something. Then she put her arm. Then she put her warm hand on my bicep. She was giving me puppy eyes, and even though I don't know if they wanted drugs or sex from me, I never turned them down. I always gave them everything I had. Neither let go of all her inhibitions, and I found myself moaning in pleasure with her hands on diamond boxes. I struggled to stretch an arm out to reach my jacket again. Tiffany was scribbling. You want it, you have to open your mouth. But instead of giving her the position she wanted so much right away, I took it, making her moan in frustration. Disappointment turned into a speck of arousal as soon as I pushed the last pill into her mouth with my tongue. Then I closed my eyes. Finally, my brain started to turn into mush, but not my body. But not my body. The heat rushed to my cheeks and my legs. Didn't see anything. I just fell. I just felt. I just felt. Heat rushing to my cheeks, then my legs. I didn't see anything. I just felt. Breathless as I bowed my chin toward my stomach, word Taylor head bobbed up and down, making me lose my mind. Taylor came on the couch and positioned herself next to me. I didn't do anything. I limited myself to opening my mouth, to opening my mouth to take in her small swollen nipples between my lips. I looked them until they were wet as she pulled her underwear down her thighs. At a certain point, the room seemed to go crazy and start to spin around me. Fuck yeah. I, I groaned when I teased my flavor on her greedy wet tongue. Started kissing again as I felt Tiffany's expert hands roll the condom over my member. I had to push myself and concentrate unreasonably in order to do what I was about to do. Sex was a reflex. It didn't matter how many people were involved or their gender, but alcohol and drugs were started to have a devastating effect on my foggy mind. The condom I had it on. Taylor, I continued to sink into them. Tiffany, she was all around my warm, moist fingertips. The color mixed together. First the yellow, then the black. Her in my eyes, on my mouth, the bones blended together. I want you. Tiffany's voice slid down Taylor's mouth, and this time she didn't pull away. The images mixed together, even the flavors intertwined, but the feelings became increasingly clear. So I hooked both hands into the blonde's soft hips and made her get on top of me. I sank into her again, and my index fingers traced the perfect arc of her back as her heat swallowed me again inside her welcoming body. I grabbed her long blonde hair and pulled it forcefully, then gave her a late tug. Putting her head down, I pushed her against Tiffany's stomach as she got up to Mia. Jamie. Taylor's voice reached me from far away in a moment. My eyes feast on a view of her warming away Between Tiffany's thighs. I stood pressing harder inside of her until Taylor cried out as Tiffany threw her head back, winning pleasure. I waited for both of them to reach their peak again and again when I felt Taylor still around my leg. I couldn't resist it any further. I growled like an animal, spitting out into the condom until the last drop. A heat wave penetrated my entire body, drained me. I felt completely before empty out, body and soul. Had to clean everything tomorrow before the cleaning ladies came. Taylor commented, laying down peacefully on the couch. I recommend that we keep this between us, he whispered, embarrassed, pushing her pajama na, pushing her pajama top back on. Even he was putting her underwear on and then her bra, as she looked at me smiling, as if we hadn't done this before. It didn't matter if it was Becky, Taylor, or Sammy. They were all the same to me. Where you're going, Jimmy? I was hot. I need air. I need to be alone. I put boxers and my pants on, then went to the bathroom to take off the condom. and washed my hands. Staring back at me in the mirror was a guy with messy hair and a bruised neck. And my reflection didn't make me feel anything. Maybe because I was high. The only thing I felt was the unbearable heat. I went out onto the balcony shirtless. It was cold outside, but I didn't feel it. My warm skin kept itching. I grabbed my phone and saw a notification. June said, "Remember, we have assignment to do." I smiled when I saw the text. I said, "You're gonna like from the later. You don't need it in my hands." Hunter said, "Yeah, Francis, pain in the ass." June said, "Try not to come back drunk or high tomorrow, please." I smiled. Hunter said, "Yes, mommy." What's so funny? Who is that? It wasn't funny. Who is it? I heard Taylor far away by irritating voice. Nobody, I answered coldly, without caring if I sounded rude. I wanted it to be alone, so I closed the door behind me. I put the vape pen between my steady, heavy lips. June said, "I'll bring it tomorrow since I had to go help Jasper anyway." Hannah said, "Really?" Hannah said, "You're really fucking bossy." June said, "Go to bed, Hunter. What are you still doing now when you couldn't even stand up before?" I took a slow breath and letting I took a slow breath and letting the smoke burn my lungs and then let it dissolve into the night with all my problems. And I said, "I heard you, Snow White. Talk to you tomorrow." I was well awake, and maybe my mom was right. I was an impatient kid, so impatient. I couldn't wait for the next day to come. But just to get out of this mess with Taylor and Tiffany, I certainly didn't care about the noisy, stubborn princess. The 43, James. One more to go, one more to go, one more to go. The 43, James. What do you mean Jasper's not here? She's only been at my house for less than a minute, and she was already getting on my nerves. Look, Mike, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. My dad forgot to tell your mom, and Jasper's at therapy today. She didn't seem to care. about what I had to say. She went past me and walked into the house. She was wrapped in cherry red hoodie. I also noticed that she still had her uniform skirt on under the mass of clothes. I dared to discreetly undress her with my eyes, like I did. Whenever I do, whenever I wanted to, even though she never noticed. When is he coming back? She asked disappointed. I was about to kick her ass out of the house when Joshua's certified expression came to mind. It was hard to admit, but seeing my brother communicate like he did, when communicate like he did with her was extremely rare, and I couldn't deny that that made me happy. He stared perplexed. He stared at me perplexed. So, so, so shall I head out? I ran my fingers to my hair, which was still damp from the shower. I don't know what to do with you. I don't know. Do you want? I don't know. Do you want to stay with me? I'll invite you into my room and we'll have a tea party and talk about our feelings. Asshole, she retorted, with head held high. She got all embarrassed when I brushed against her, but then she had the courage to talk to me like that. What the fuck did she think she was? I started to cool down. Meanwhile, she was already the, walking around the table to put a folder on top of it. Here. Oh yeah, the damn report. I'll write it up and then turn it in tomorrow. But you have to do work on it. You have a deal, Hunter? James tried to speak in an interrogative tone, but it came out as distrustful more than anything else. It was clear that she didn't think I was up to the task. Didn't give any, didn't give a flying fuck about your homework. I want to wait. Replied, tucking all my anger out of her. Not while studying. Oh yeah, because we're studying together now. Wait, didn't you say I had to do it myself? Here a piece of brown paper, and pulled me, and she put a folder away so that we wouldn't get all over it. What are you doing? Rolling a joint. You want to hit? Are you nuts? No. I continued you under her irritated stare, and not long after she started whining. Look, Connor, I've been trying to be nice in assembly to in order to Right then, her phone vibrated. She ran she ran to her backpack, which she left in a corner of the kitchen. When she left in a corner of the kitchen, her uniform skirt went up steeply as she bent down to grab her phone. The dead in my eyes. Okay, it was fun to mess with her, but I definitely shouldn't stare at William's girlfriend's ass. Her mother in a heated low voice. Without thinking about it, I went I went over to her. Who is it? Who is it? What the fuck was I? Who is it? What the fuck was I saying? She turned around and sighed. Well, when he, when would he decide to talk to her seriously? Didn't make it didn't make sense for her. It didn't make sense for him to get into a situation like that. Not now, when we still had unfinished business with Austin. I saw her disappearing into their room to talk privacy, so I decided to give her space and walk out into the yard. I took a few hits, then heard her coming out in a frenzy. Give it to me, she said, holding her hand out. What do you want now? She looked at me right in the eye without blinking. Sometimes I got the vibe that she was scared of me. In addition, that the scorn she was scared of me. In addition, then the scorn sh- she felt. Other times, she wasn't afraid of me at all. Like now, to smoke. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Slow down, princess. What is going on? Alex, moving when you turn away. Leave me smoke. You asked me before, or am I wrong? Don't. Did something happen? No. Let me smoke. Did you hit your head? You're insulting yourself. You know what? You know that she was alright. I pushed her. You know. You know that she was alright. I passed her the joint. Our fingers brushed against each other, almost accidentally. But she pulled her hand. But she pulled her hand back as soon as she realized it. You have to smoke the joint, not stare at it, I teased. I thought about it again. I don't know if it's a good idea. Try it. Try it. Nothing will happen to you once. I chuckled. She wasn't laughing. Her gaze tied me to hear her with an intense stare, as if there were no barriers between us. I brought the joint to her lips and felt the heat of her breath and the softness of her mouth on my fingers. I shivered, but she didn't notice. She had it between her lips, took a deep breath, and then she started coughing. Oh, gross. It puts in your lungs. Of course it's gross. I shrugged, smoking again. And why do you do it? Because you get used to it and it becomes a habit. All you can do is poison yourself day after day. Do you think it's less poisonous doing it a little at a time? I took another drag answering her. Before answering her, your body really gets used to it. Your body gets used to it. So yeah, but it really tastes awful. She repeated, did reaching her hand out to me. I passed her it to her this time. She smelled it herself. As at her, she noticed. She noticed the look of her hair behind her ear, and then looked down, embarrassed. What? She asked, irritated. Nothing. Are you listening to me or not? I curled my lips into a grimace and grumbled. What did you say? And you should quit. And then you smoke. I broke into a derisive smile. Why is that? Let me hear what the princess had to say. Because it'll kill you. Do you know that? Who says I'm not already dead? And tell me, do those red-headed e-girls clothes from circa 2018 impress the ladies? She furrowed her brow and curled her lips into the into what looked like a childish snicker. The weed was starting to hit her. You're such an idiot. I'm just giving death a nudge. Maybe that's why Elle come find me earlier than planned. She didn't seem like she could ask her emotions any longer, but she wasn't left anymore. But she wasn't laughing anymore. She stared. She stared attentively at her short bitten nails. We're all gonna die of something, you know. No, nothing will. Not knowing when it'll happen. It's fucking exciting, don't you think? I pressed against her. I press. I press. I press passing her. I press passing her. I, I press passing her the drawing again. She should. I pressed passing her the drawing again. She shifted her eyes nervously, then pulled up the hood on her red hoodie, then two blonde, then two blonde locks of hair peeked out. Red looked good on her. She almost looked, she almost looked pretty. I don't know. I think it's stupid to destroy yourself for a little moment of pleasure. I'm not, sh- I'm not going to have any, I'm not going to have any more here. She handed me the joint, asking her head. She handed me the joint. Yes, she handed me the joint, shaking her head now. So you already decided to leaving. So you decide to live a straight edge life without even a bit of pleasure? They didn't say that. Sherlock almost often. I'm just saying it's impossible to live your whole life the way that you do, James. It's impossible to survive it. I have a thing for impossible things. I blew the smoke out of her. She was hooked. I felt it. I saw it. Do you want to be with do you want to be with Will? Fine. But don't act like I don't have the effect on you. And I wasn't one to beat around the bush. I saw you were staring at my lips, Snow White. She covered her face with the excuse of adjusting her hood. Why do you always act like such a bad guy? You're not. And do you always act like why do you always have to act like a goody two shoes? You're not either. She seemed she seemed floored she seemed floored by my answer. Based on what? You want to kiss me even though I'm your best friend? Blushing fiercely, she put her hand on her face and covered her whole cheek. She was embarrassed, and I had the urge to slam her against the wall and stick my tongue down her throat. But now, to show her that I was right, I could even turn on a girl like her with one kiss. It certainly wasn't because I wanted her. She closed her eyes, smoking slowed down her normally quick thoughts. No, I don't want to. You're off-base, and your statement isn't true. Your arrogance makes you think that. Not to mention the tough guy you look, the tough guy look you have doesn't doesn't it really give you that much self-confidence? You're all blah 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 blah. You're all blah blah blah. I stopped listening after the first word you said, Wayne. I hate you, Hunter. I grabbed one, sticking my lips out quick, capturing her attention. Again. She could say she hated me, but the truth was anything but. You say, but she could say she hated me, but the truth was anything but. But if you act like that, I use that as an excuse to look at your lips, murmured. I lingered on her full lips. Sorry, what? She parted them to lick them. The innocent gesture sparked dirty thoughts and conflicting emotions in me. Fuck her lips. We're beautiful. Maybe the weed I put in was too strong. She was just as confused as I was. Want to lick your lips. Now. I would have told her already if she wasn't William's girlfriend, or maybe not. She was still young. Wait, what the hell was I what the hell was I thinking? She told me to go to hell instantly, but her eyes darted there to find my lips again. If only you knew what I'd done with these lips, maybe you wouldn't look at me like that anymore. Her furtive glances stopped at the same time when I resumed our conversation again. Tell me something, Wayne. She lowered her head. She lowered her head, waiting for me to say something. What was that? What was what you told me the other night true? Was what true? What you told me about what you told me about your brother? She got it quickly. Yeah. Why? Would I lie about that? Not saying you would. I'm just asking because I blew a cloud of smoke in her face, and she shrank into her hoodie. What did you tell me? It 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 just felt natural. If if it upset you, no, of course it didn't. Even Will explained it sometimes. I'm too direct. Bullshit. Do you tell him too? I was going down a dangerous path. Too dangerous, even for me. No, it just hasn't come up, she admitted. I stay quiet. I'm gonna keep secrets from her. They will find out. James, I understand why you'd hold on to something I tell you in a moment of weakness. Then is what then is what you told me. I replied spontaneously. What do you mean? I felt nervous. We went back to comforting each other with our eyes. One, two, three, maybe 4 seconds. Then we both looked down. James. I felt her head. I felt her eyes burn my eyes. I felt her eyes burn my fingers as she tapped the joint to get the ash off. I I wanted to ask you something else. I thought I asked if you just. But were Amelia and Brian doing what? What were Amelia and I thought I asked if you just must. I thought I asked if you must. What? But what were Amelia and Brian doing in your family photos? A busybody. That's what you are. Mind your own fucking business. It doesn't concern you. You were a cute kid, though. She said, it laughing almost childishly, amplifying the envy I felt for her carefreeness. Her way of prying, her way of prying into my past started did to make me uncomfortable. You don't have the bullshit. You don't have to know shit. I spat, standing up. I punt, I punt the blunt out in the ashtray on the run on the veranda table. When I walked past her to go back in, I noticed she was gentle. I noticed she was getting pale. I knew. At a certain point, at a certain point, she tried to get up, but dizzy, wobble instead. At a certain point, she tried to get up, but dizzy, wobble instead. You okay? I think so. She hinted in a less. I think so. She hinted in a less than convincing tone. I got suspicious. Should I get you some water? No, it's better if. What's better though? James not. James is not feeling well. I came closer and supported both of her arms, pre- pre- preventing her from collapsing. Do you have low blood pressure? Yeah, why? You should be fucking told me. I wouldn't let you smoke in the first place. She put her forehead on my she put her forehead on my shoulder, so I put my arm around her side and brought her to the couch. Are you able to sit down by yourself? She lay down haphazardly, obviously to my presence. Her uniform skirt barely lifted up, and her solid red thighs peeked out. Her long eyelashes stayed still, and her eyes were closed with such an innocent expression that made me feel weird. She was a girl like any other, and I should have thought of every way I banged her. Instead, I pulled down the bottom of her skirt to her knees, making sure I didn't graze her, making sure I didn't graze against her skin. In then I wrapped her in Jasper's s- Super Mario blanket. I thought of the worst case scenario for a moment. I imagined William walking through the door. He never forgave me. He never forgave me, and not just because she was collapsed on my couch. I had a vivid imagination, and my thoughts had been gone too far for a while. I threw away those ideas and sat at the kitchen table, gendered desperately in literature. I read the title of the assignment that my principal gave us. Let's see what what Princess wrote. I told myself, skimming the lines of wedding. And for introduction in the development. For introduction in the development, look at how she beats around the problem without even facing it. I deal with it what what he may I deal with it. A forward introduction in the development, look at how she beats around the problem without ever facing it. I, de- I deal with what I deal with what he made her redo. The concept was well written, but it didn't elaborate as if she was afraid herself to show herself. There was no substance to it. When needed, she had such a childish handwriting. I spent an hour on that damn essay. As she slept, at a certain point, her blonde hair emerged from the couch, where her eyes went wide when she realized she wasn't at my house. You have interesting ideas in a little head of yours, I told her. What are you doing? She asked apprehensively when she saw me holding her homework. I finished it. Oh no, I thought I forgot. I already did it, really. She seemed skeptical. She seemed skeptical. Did they let me pass out? What else was I supposed to do? And with my mess, disoriented and with my messy hair, she looked around. I'm starving. You stoned? I'm hungry too. Let's order something. I put the pages back in the folder. Here. She stared at me, almost scandalized. What the fuck do you want? A formal invitation? I saw her check the phone. It's late. I better get home, she muttered. Hesitantly, before picking up her backpack off the floor. Don't forget this. And handing her the homework. She explained it carefully. Thanks, James. I frowned when when she unexpectedly when she unexpectedly came closer to me and froze and took a deep breath before closing my eyes. A kiss on the cheek, then she dashed off. A kiss on the cheek, then she dashed off. Chapter 44. Final chapter. The verb for June. I'm such an idiot. I wrote it in my phone notes like I was internalizing like an idiot. I made out of myself that day. I was practically passed out on James' couch after taking two hits, knowing he might have thought I was ridiculous. He would be doing what He usually did. Waiting until we got to school to humiliate me. I learned 2 days since never smoke. I wrote that in my phone. I want to promise myself that because it seems like what I was under that influence that I kissed. The cheeks of guy I hated. Never fall asleep at your enemy's house. Ridiculous. Things could happen like him finishing the homework instead of me being this impulsive. I should have hung up on William like that. But that but what he said hurt me. I have too many things in my head. Dion, maybe it's better if we slow down. What do you mean slow down? I asked despite it sounded like slower word than this before. We don't see each other anymore. Come on. You know what I mean. People say those kind of things in cases like these. I don't understand it anyone. So well, how do people respond to things like that? Explain it to me. Tell me if this works for you. Let's take it as just take it as it comes. Tell me if this works for you. Just take it. Just take it as it comes. I don't understand. June, you are annoying when you act like this. I hung up on him. I tried to be understanding. That I tried to be understanding with him more than once. I even apologized when I impulsively asked him to choose between me and his best friend. And what did they get in return? A waste of time. I hated the fact that I was at James's exactly. I hated the fact that I was at James is exactly when I got Will's call. I would have preferred to be home at I would have preferred to be home to have all my reactions under control instead with the disappointment and the negative feelings on my terms. But there I was exposed and I didn't want James to see me vulnerable. That's why I asked him to smoke. Of course I didn't expect to pass out on his couch while he took care of the assignment. Sure, it was a small gesture, but it certainly wasn't nothing. But certain but certainly wasn't nothing coming from James. I didn't understand why he didn't chase me out. John, he was like the same. He was the same arrogant dick. Don't get any ideas. Don't get don't get any ideas. I sat down on the desk and opened the folder to read what he written. I found myself smiling, putting my knuckles on my teeth, almost as if I wanted to hide the reaction from myself. What the hell was I letting myself get caught up in the enthusiasm? If someone had 2 billion ideas in a row, well, what was my problem? Suddenly, I heard a sound coming from the room next to mine. Suddenly, I heard a sound coming from the room next to mine. Then, silence. I went back to reading the homework, but the sound got progressively louder, so loud that I thought the second wizard war was breaking out. I got up. It was impossible to read. I went, I went to the bathroom where I found Mom furiously trying to wash her paintbrush in the sink. Another job change? Do you go from painter to percussionist? She stopped with her head lowered, her hand gripping the sink as if she wanted to prevent herself from falling. And almost shockingly, she wasn't scolding me or listening to me. Mom, I looked at the slate figure girl collapsing onto herself. Are you okay? Sorry, she murmured, without turning around in the mirror. I was her gaunt, tear-stained face. She suddenly seemed to have gone back to who she was 4 years ago, when there was only room for pain on her face. What's going on? I cautiously approached her and I cautiously approached her and put a hand on her trembling back. What's wrong? Everything fine? She wiped away her tears in her hand and tried to smile at me. You worry me. I pointed out the big splashes of color that were smeared on the tiles. Honey, 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 you shouldn't. I just had a moment. It's because of the money issue you hit that? No, no. I was her turn under the tap to finish rinsing the brushes. She didn't she did it angrily like it was her stress reliever, like she only knew one way to face disappointment and sadness, with painting and everything going on around her. We don't have money, promise, and maybe your school's a little too expensive, but it's not. But not is. But no, it's not that. It's my personal stuff. I still haven't made lunch. How about setting the table so we can eat something? No, there was something deeper than that. Mom, normally I'd let it go, but, but give that a part of your personal life affects me too. But giving that a part of your, but, but giving that a part of your personal life affects me too. What are you talking about? What going on? Does it have to do with Jordan? She hid behind her blonde hair. Bingo. Come on, I tell you, it's a personal relationship, and that's how it's gonna say. Why don't you seem happy to tell me that? Because you took me out dinner to do because she took me out dinner the day before yesterday. So was so that's where Jordan Hunter was was so that where Jordan Hunter was the night I was with Jasper. Didn't you say it was a reflection of leadership? Yes, it is, but I couldn't control myself. Then I saw her hissing face, spitting out loud. Mom, please, I urged her impatiently. She looked at me in the mirror as if she didn't have the courage to turn around and say it to my face. We kissed. I knew it. Damn it. I knew it. Why was I still upset? June, I regretted it so much. June, I regretted it so much. She sat down on the edge of the bathtub, sighing, trying to make me come closer. June, I can't be upset with her. Right then, she seemed so weak and fragile that I would have just given her a long hug. But I didn't. I stayed still with my arms folded. Do you regret it because he's a bad kisser? Do you regret it because he's a bad kisser? She cracked up and a few lines shot up on her face. Not because of that. It's because I had to think about work. I had to think being a mom. I can't go out like a woman in her 20s. I closed my eyes to trying to repress all the selfishness inside me. Mom, you only dedicate your life to working and being a mom. You're not living anymore. You're surviving, and that's not fair. You don't deserve that. All, all I ask is that is not. All I ask is that is not with Jordan. I sat next to her. You like him, don't you? She nodded. She nodded. I don't want you to feel bad because of me. The point is that you go out with someone, but but the fact that it's him, I don't like it, Mom. I know how his son is, and I don't think he could be much better. How's it going with Jasper? Did you change the subject? Good. I like tutoring him. He's a bit stubborn, but he's really smart. I'm happy. I knew you'd be able to get him on the right track. I didn't see him yesterday because he was at his therapist. I think he goes twice a week. I nervously scratching my index finger on the tear in my jeans. Was Jordan there? No, only James was home. My husband why? But it was too late now. but but you were out for 2 hours. He considered gaze, he, he considered gaze met mine. He considered gaze met mine. And I really knew she was about to give me the third degree. I had to nip it in the I had to nip it in the bud before she pounced all over me. June, that guy really has way too many issues. Yeah, I know. Look, just promise you won't make a god with Jordan anymore. I, anymore. I made air quotes. Certainly, June, if there's one thing I'm certain of it and certain of is that you wouldn't make out with his son. Now go study. She made my air quotes now went back to rinsing her brushes, confusing me even more. William said, June, I had to talk to you. It was different. It was a different. It was a different. It was a different to William's first text. And as a matter of fact, I was getting a bit hungry after talking with my mom. I went in the kitchen for some milk and cookies. It was 5 p.m. What better time than now? I spent Friday night in that awful place of shitty people. Saturday afternoon, I was a genius, and we all know how that went. And today, my life became boring again. Homework, Netflix, and food. Maybe it was better like this. My phone vibrated. My phone vibrated. My phone vibrated. I didn't look at it. If I did, I gave in to the temptation of answering. So I waited for it to stop. A call for William. I ignored it. How was I supposed to react? Didn't he have something better to do? Then call me. Then call me. June, I shouldn't have said that stuff to you yesterday. I tried everything to stay away from you when all I really want to do is talk to you for real this time. I wanted to pretend I didn't care, and that dipping my chocolate chip cookie into the milk was more important. But my instinct got more, but my instinct got the best of me. I went to his, I went to his Instagram. I didn't want to show that I looked at his stories, but I was so curious. I was so curious. I noticed a post from 2 hours ago. And it occurred to them to post a photo like that. It was a mirror surface of a shortest Will James fighting for my attention. My eyes darted from left to right without knowing who to stop and look at more. He didn't even examine the caption about training and working hard. I put my hands I put both my hands on my face, rubbing it nervously. I was treading in very dangerous waters. June said, I don't think there were anything to say. Well, I said quickly. He answered he answered came just as quick. William said, if you're upset with me, I understand. I don't want to go back on anything. I just want to give you the explanation you deserve. If you want to come by my place, then we'll talk. Of course, why not? Why did I? Why did it feel like everyone insisted on telling me half truth? First, my mom, now well, put on my hoodie and grab my backpack. And get on my backpack. I felt I felt the pressing need to get away from everyone and everything, but on my AirPods, and I felt the pressed need to get away from everyone and everything. Put on my AirPods and go for a bike ride. Put on my shoes and took it off. Feeling the hair wave in my lungs Plus, the fresh air made me feel better quickly. The clutching in my chest started it to subside, but too many thoughts they but too many thoughts were still weighing down my mind. I liked Will, but his attitude only pushed me away. James, I didn't like it at all, but his behavior would pull me in like a magnet. It should, it should have. He was the typical guy who made fun of me in front of everyone. In fact, he did it too when we were alone. But I didn't have enough experience to realize it. Come to think about it, he did it in Jackson's car, and again, he did it in Jackson's car, and did it again, did it again yesterday at him. Was I too naive to was I too naive or too skeptical? Falling into a guy like James Hunter tried would have been so would be easy to would be easy too easy too easy. A guy that had a guy that hot and popular had never paid attention to me before. To be honest, a guy like that had never even talked to me. Had never even talked to me. But on the other hand, I felt like I had a connection with Will, and I didn't want to write that off. If only he didn't flip so much. I started studying with my headphones, and the lessons came on. Even even though Olivia Rodrigo was kind of a premature choice, was kind of a premature choice. Because Will and I weren't even a real couple. I heard him. I felt my back vibrate. It was my phone. I kept paddling, disregarding the fact that I was dying to know what to say. What if he needed a friend? I just turned my back on him like a selfish bitch. What if he wanted to tell me something important? After biking a few blocks, I decided to hear. I decided to head to William's house. Then I rang the doorbell, and the door opened. My breath almost stopped. What the fuck are you? What the fuck are you doing here? There he was. Will called me. What the hell are you doing here, Hunter? I swallowed, trying to hold his gaze, but I already knew that would be a Herculean feat. He was shirtless. In the afternoon, sun cast shadows on his rock hard chest. It looked like he just looked like he just jumped out of his Instagram post. Took it upon himself to put my fantasies to an end. With a smirk, he slammed the door in our face, offended. I rang the doorbell again like a crazy person. Things opened again, and this time, laughing as two dimples appeared on his cheeks. Are you an idiot? You gonna slam the door in my face like that? Do you know? Do you know any other way to get a pain in the ass like you to get lost? My eyes, my eyes fell on his warm cheek as if I wanted to take aim and slap it. But his smooth cheek evoked the sensation of touching my lips on his skin. For a moment, I thought it left a mark, like a brand. Do you not hear me? Go home and don't give me shit and hell back. The insult was the insult that was jumping off the tip of my tongue. Then I talk again more calmly. Will call me, but my insistence didn't make him move. Instead, he leaned on the door jamb, preventing me to come in. Why are you spawning new bullshit? What are you doing here? Can you cut it out and get dressed? Thanks. I glanced furtively at him without looking down. I'll be sure this whatever the fuck I want, Snow White. Jesus, what a meathead. The they say you see a person with flaw better up close, but James was the total opposite. He had a perfect body. It was so in, it was so invariable that it made me feel awkward. What the fuck do you want? He lowered his head in my direction, forced me to respond with an expression look. For you, from you, nothing. Move, please. Obviously, he didn't move an inch. He continued to gaze at me continuously, more persistent than ever before I put my hands on his sweaty chest and pushed him. But it was useless. Ew. I groaned as I felt my hands slide down his chest. James leaned down to whisper in my ear. Yes, sure, ew, why? Don't you give me another little kiss since you're already here? He whispered as his cologne intoxicated me. Because you're a dickhead. Fucking bitch. June, you really came. Finally, William's silhouette appeared like a celestial version. Finally, William's silhouette appeared like a celestial vision behind James' shoulders. James let her in, well order, seeing that I was still at the door. "Ah, now what were you doing?" I asked, perplexed. I noticed that Will was also so sweating bullets with his soaking t-shirt and messy hair. "We were training," he explained. And James brought it to the kitchen. William wiped his face with the towel, staying safe distance away. "I'm going to take a shower and I'll be right with you. And I'll be right with you, okay?" I nodded, unconvinced, then crouched down onto the first step of the staircase. I wanted to talk. I wanted to talk. I felt like I wanted to tell him that we could that we couldn't continue like this. Then my thoughts went up in flames. James stood in front of me with his hand in his tracksuit pants pocket and an apple juice in the other. And an apple juice and an apple juice in the other. I did it because my brain was foggy. I justified myself, but James didn't consider it the important subject. Jasper was looking for you, for you this. Jasper was looking for you this afternoon. He said, looking down at me. I couldn't come. I looked down at the parquet flooring because the sight of his lips on the straw bothered me. Shouldn't you be at home with him? James looked at me with arrogant disregard. You want some? He asked me, pointing to the juice. No. And for God's sake, get dressed. Do you live here now, Hunter? I come here sometimes, White, he said, leaning his shoulder against the wall. I remember what Jordan told my mom, that James almost never were slept at home. What are you, what, why are you sleeping here? His blue eyes stared me sharply past his messy hair. None of your fucking business. But it's useless to remind you of that. Because you can help because you can help yourself. You always have to stick your nose. What? You always have to stick your nose where it doesn't belong. I skulk. I sulk. I sulk. Why can you ever be civil toward me? He tilted his head, like he wanted to study me from another angle to understand if I was really interested in what I asked him. Sometimes I come here more than usual. That's all. He disclosed consciously. Why? Why? Your dad seems like an okay guy. Why? Your dad seems like an okay guy. He does a dogger and he sat next to me on the step. Look, if your dad's an asshole, you have to tell him because he works with my mom and they're dating. I heard him breathe a heavy sigh before starting to talk. It has nothing to do with my dad. I did because heading there is a habit. I've has I I've had I have I've had since I was a kid. There was uh, I've had since I was a kid, and there are times when his parents are never here. Will always alone. James inadvertently piqued my curiosity about something else. Why did he had to just why he had to hide her? Why he had to hide here since he was little? Parents are skeptical too. I struck lazy my fingers between my knees, like I wanted to stop the agitation I felt whenever I was around. From whenever I was around him, from getting the best of me, but George separated did because they couldn't get past a really hard time. James Stevens brought me back right. James Stevens brought me right back to the past. What about yours? If my parents are separated, it's only because my mom didn't think twice about cheating on him repeatedly. Did it happen a long time ago? James clenched his jaw. I was in elementary school. My dad was always working. He was never home. So she could so she stayed with every so she stayed with every Tom, Dick. I was in elementary school. I was in elementary school. My dad was always working. He was never home. So she stayed every so you so she stayed every Tom, Dick, and Harry. End of sub story. James in his jaw, and when my leg suddenly brushed up, accidentally his brushed up when my leg accidentally brushed up. against his. He pulled it away like it burned. He stood up, went to the kitchen, and rolled for a joint. 5 minutes ago, it was too long to go without smoking, I said sarcastically. I sweat out too many neat toxins during my workout. He maneuvered a rolling paper between his fingers. And I started he maneuvered rolling paper between his fingers and decided to pick up where we left off. But if your dad just got custody of Joshua's less than a year ago, he didn't raise you guys, did he? He, he, his deep eyes darted at my face. No, he answered curtly. At first, I wasn't interested in finding out what kind of guy Jordan was. But, but now that but now that Jordan, but now that Jordan, but your dad just got custody just within just a year ago. He really got his sticky. His he did his eyes darted at my first. No, he said Carly. At first he was interested in finding out the kind of guy Jordan was, but now that the Jordan, uh, but now that the Jordan Sabagai variable was eliminated, I wanted to know more about their family. I guess a long time ago, but James was, but I guess a long time ago that James was just putting the, on an act. But what, but what was he hiding? But, but what was he hiding? I saw him bite his lip nervously, and I couldn't hold back. James, you need to talk, maybe, and don't have the right way to say it. Maybe he wasn't right. Maybe I didn't have the right time. Maybe I don't have the right to say that. Maybe it wasn't the right time. But how? But now I say that. He furrowed his brows and looked confused. One, two, three, four. Steps from upstairs replaced the signs. June. 5 seconds. And both of us shied away from the visual contact. I turned around and saw William looking at us. He changed and was he changed he changed and was at me. What were you talking about? What were you two talking about? Nothing. Just shooting the breeze. I brushed it off and standing up. He was standing to look up, but he kept crushing weed in his palm of his hand. Should I tell Will? Not tell him? Why was I getting in a situation where I had secrets with the best friend of the guy I like? I, I looked at James and his fidgety fingers that said that said that said expertly across the raw paper when William spoke. I've known you for almost a month, June. There's no point in beating around the bush when you find out anyway. James is right. I raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? Come on, I glanced at James one more time, who stuck his tongue out directly at the bottom of the stairs and made a gagging motion with two fingers. I shook my head and followed William to his bedroom. His room read, how could I forget such a an unsettling place? We both sat on the edge of the bed, and he pointed first at the right wall, then the left. See the two holes, one white and one black? Yeah. Imagine the distances of my life, Jim. I don't understand, I whispered. There's times I'm like this. How you see me now are rare. I watched him fiddle with the ends of his hair. How? Will tried to moisten his dry lips. How I feel now? Balance. Inability furrowed my brows. But I felt like but I felt like I'm about to go in another direction. He pointed at the black wall to our left. He explained well. The good times are always followed by bad. Those seemingly innocuous words conveying a deep anguish. I instinctively took his hand and stopped his nervous gestures. I started feeling afraid, maybe because I was starting to notice his fear. I pressed his back with my palm. I pressed his back with my palm, and Will finally started talking again. I have to love-hate relationship with drugs. Sometimes I try to go off them because they don't help me. Drugs? He was driving me mad and curiosity. I wanted to will, I wanted to, I wanted to, well, to open up freely on his terms, without pressure. And he took all the times in the word between sighs and moments of silence. Sometimes I feel bad, like awful. I don't want to see anyone or even get out of bed to go to school. My dad had to recognize his business trip around my mood swings. Will said remorsefully, as if sh as if he was riddled with guilt. I couldn't stop looking at him. His eyes, which always looked calm and gray like a gloomy day, were now stormy, were now stormy skies. I couldn't decipher him. I couldn't decipher him. Never, maybe I never had. Yes, I thought I knew what kind of guy he was. Maybe he became nice and understanding. He threw me a curveball. The next minute, he threw me a curveball. The next minute was that he was talking about? What are you talking about, June? I scared you, didn't I? He seemed to ask that question on purpose to pause the story. No, absolutely not. I was just thinking. I froze. I didn't know how to behave. Shall I be honest? What if I hurt his feelings? If James was there instead of William, I would have told him everything that was going that was going through my head. It was still just James. But the truth was that I was afraid that Will would feel bad. I was thinking about putting. I was thinking about a painting that my mom did. I interrupted his jury. I interrupted his integral gaze as an innovation, as an invitation, as an invitation to continue. The decision was a tree divided in half. One slit, one side had all the bright colors of spring, the brilliant green of the foliage, the blue sky, the golden cornfields, but the other side was black and white. I think it represented the duality of existence, the blending of life and death that defined it. Maybe it has nothing to do with what you're telling me. I wanted to tell you to make me think of it. Will didn't laugh at me or tease me. I think about it a lot. He articulated slowly. About what? That. What about what followed was an exchange of the delicate glances between us. I stayed quiet, respecting his time until he decided to continue. Maybe I'm like your mom's painting, but the opposite. That essence, my gray area, is the right color one. And then I'm in my dark times and I feel too alive. And I seek out extremely experience like death itself. Races, drugs, violence. Mrs. Drug and violence. It was James who dragged Will into this mess, says. In fact, it might be exact opposite with drug violence. It wasn't James who dragged Will into this mess. In fact, it might be the exact opposite. I don't mean to dismiss what you just told me, but I just want you to know that there's nothing wrong with you. Well, that's okay. Everyone get mood swings. I understand this is that his problem was a lot more serious than that, but I wanted him to feel understood, not judged. One smiled strangely at me, so I allowed myself a naive observation to lighten the mood. I'm thinking about my mom, my, myself, maybe we you haven't noticed, but I'm also a lunatic. Even Amelia is. Even Amelia is. She's a sweetheart to me one day, and then another days she almost doesn't talk to me. Now that I say it, I realized that there were days when Amelia didn't even talk to me. And think about Jackson, who was impossible sometimes. Don't even get me started on James. Even he's so bipolar. My jaw dropped. That's what I said at the Will's party in front of everyone, and that's why everyone looked at me badly. And he threw me out of his house. My eyes went wide with worry. Well, I'm sorry for saying that awful shit. It's because his stupid turn of phrase, and we shouldn't be so cavalier about it. The words rushed out of my mouth like a flooding river. I felt disheartened. No, please, don't apologize, June. It's because you feel sorry for me. I don't feel sorry for you. It's because I've been sensitive around you sometimes. He grinned and his two nearly invisible dimples formed at the sides of his mouth. I like you, June. I like you like this, June, for who you are. I don't know what else there is to say. I smiled back. Whereas in my case, there's nothing unexpected. I already know what will happen if my mood gets better. I spent 2 to 3 months where I feel well, but I also do a ton of stupid stuff. He lowered his head, embarrassed. But what, but what he said, or or maybe because of what he'd done in the past. And paradoxically, that's the exact time when you don't want to know me, June. I squeeze his hand. I'm sure that. As I get aggressive, I do really stupid shit just to do it. I also I also do a lot of stuff that's what's I also do a lot of stuff that's wrong, really wrong. I shook my head to chase away those words, which were so harsh that they drew images in my mind that I couldn't then superimpose on a guy as good and sensitive as William. They didn't match. There's a situation. There's a situation. Right. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. Thank to modern medicine. I'm taking medication, but sometimes I get this sense that taking that stuff is useless. That's why you get tired and fall asleep without answering the phone. Yeah. Today I hit the punching bag trick with James, and now I feel wiped out. He hinted a smile. Do you have to take them forever? I've been taking them as far back as I can remember. I have a pill for when I up high, another one for when I'm too low, want to sleep, want to sleep. We paused to clear his throat, which seemed to interpret his flows. While drugs prevented my mood swings from being so extreme, they also have a side effect on my personality. It was It's awful to know that every function in my brain depends on medicine. Like I can function alone. But it's depressing for me, for my self-esteem, for my relationship, for everything. And here, like an idiot, I thought he didn't like me because I was so childish and immature. I screwed up with you more than once, June. I should have disappeared, but was terrified to tell you because I like you, and I don't want to lose. And I don't want to lose you over something that I don't feel like I have full control over. I put my cheek on his shoulder and let his scent of fresh laundry cradle me. Why you decided to tell me in particular? Because you're the only one who goes beyond the superficial. And then because James what? Until until the other day he told me not to tell you. He thought you were an innocent brat who didn't know how the world worked. Oh, I bet his insults were a bit worse than that. I bit my lip. Yeah, his suggestion wasn't very romantic. Don't tell her anything. I'll tell you. He looked sideways in search of the last crass word possible. Get, get her in bed. Yeah, I can imagine he said something that crass. We laughed, but we talked last night. And he said he thought I could trust you and that you unlike the others, you wouldn't run away. I straightened up and looked William right in the eye. Of course, I wouldn't. I want to be close to you now more than ever. Now more than ever, because I know why you disappear. I just disappear because I sleep, or maybe I'm not in a mood to see anyone. But it has nothing to do with you. I don't want you to think I don't like you anymore. I'm sorry. Well, if I could do something. I look up at his teary eye. I'm sorry too. I wish I could be like everyone else, like James or Jackson, being euphoric because something good happening. Because something good happened. Getting mad because someone really screwed me over and not feeling frustrated or sad just because my brain tells me to. I wanted it to have fun because I really want to not to feel like a slave to the desire to always go further. My hand stayed down his shoulder. It was only natural for us to hung for a long time. My hand stayed down his shoulder. It was only natural for us to hug for a long time. Will pulled away first and lay on the bed, making room for me. I lay down next to him. We shared the same pillow, looking at him from close up. I noticed his heavy eyelids and red eyes. I felt a lump in my throat, too big to swallow. I couldn't cry. This time, the time when anyone else would be found out, but not this time when anyone else would be find out, but not me. I couldn't free myself from everything that gripped my soul. I could have shared the way I felt, but I didn't. June, William closed his eyes, then sent me away. I said, I didn't want to apologize. June, William closed his eyes. Don't send me away. I said, I don't want to. I want to apologize. You don't have anything to apologize for. I will always do stupid stuff and hurt people, June. Don't say that. I don't want anything between us to win, but together isn't the answer. I always disappoint you, and he started to take a breath. I don't want to put more pressure on you. Well, if you pressure for us to not be committed, that's okay. I want to take it slow. Another because after all, I agree with him. I just wanted things to be clear and not to tell each other lies. So you're not afraid? His question made my stomach do a flip as he as his breath took on my jaw. No. Well, it means so much to me that you told me. Let me stay. He kissed me on the lips. I stared at him without saying a word. Then please stay. Oh, it's going to be a part two of this book coming soon and more. The same thing, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. We finished the book, and next up is the movie. Thank, thanks a lot, guys, and have a great day. Have a great day. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great day.